I don't think anyone should get government assistance without being legal at all. Right. I don't think someone who is illegal should have government assistance at all.
No, like welfare, that kind of stuff.
At all. I think most people who are citizens, most of them should not have government assistance.
Because they mooch it.
People who are actual citizens, I think most of them should have it.
They need to revamp that whole system.
I don't think anyone who's not an American citizen should have government assistance at all.
Okay.
Like, not at all. And they can just, what about their lives? Well, then do the effing paperwork then. More specifically bad, but bad or good, when no one's looking, things that only
God can see.
Yeah, only God can see. And those things are, I think, say a lot about people, like the things that no one sees are kind of big. Like, what everyone sees says a lot, like, obviously. But like the things you do, people aren't looking or trying to, I think that says a lot. And I think that's where, I think a lot of that speaks to God a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot of that, like, in the space that only God knows. Like, I say I'm pro-Ukraine, and then as far as Palestine and Israel, it's like, I think we should just pull all the money out and let them figure it out.
Okay.
Like, just let them figure it out.
Yeah.
And I don't think they truly ever will. I've read a history book. They're never going to.
It's not a new conflict.
But, so I think when it comes to that one, I think they just kind of like, I think it's best that we just kind of stay out of that one.
Back up.
But I feel as far as...
But you don't feel like that with Ukraine and Russia. And the reason is because you think that if we don't keep Russia in check, that could affect us.
And Russia's just going to try to take over everything, and then it becomes a superpower again, and this whole world thing.
Hey, and welcome back to another awe-inspiring episode of the Why Can't We Talk About That podcast. I know it's been a little while since releasing a normal episode, and for that I apologize. But thanks to all of you who have been listening to that 100th episode. It was a lot of fun and work putting it together, but I've gotten lots of positive feedback about it, so thanks. Things should be back to normal for a while, though, releasing weekly episodes in the normal format, as I have many guests lined up. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave reviews on whatever platform you are using to listen to the show. For all feedback, please send me an email at whycan'twetalkaboutthat@proton.me. I am always looking for guests to be on the show, so if you want to be one of the cool kids who can put appearing on the show on their resume, don't delay any longer. Email me and let me know. Also, do me a huge humongous favor and share this episode, and the podcast in general, with everyone that you know, and maybe even some people that you don't know. Just walk up to them and tell them about this podcast. Who knows? Maybe you will meet your new best friend, or even a future spouse that way. Just do it. For today's episode, I had a great conversation with Jason Downing, an employee for Ernie Ball who also spends time creating and performing music in 2 different bands. He plays bass and sings in the band Horsewater, and plays drums in the band Longstraw, both of which should have recorded music available soon, so be sure to check them out. I first met Jay through my coworker, who just happens to be his wife. I wasn't really around him very much, though, other than a few pretty intense bunco battles, so I didn't really get to know him that well before sitting down to record this conversation you are about to hear. I had always been told that, like me, his interest and knowledge of music is extensive, and it turns out that those people who told me that were right. I was not disappointed. He even surprised me by some of the bands he knew about. I had a lot of fun getting to know him better, and hopefully you will too. Enjoy the conversation. It'd be kind of fun, because, other than bunco, I don't think we've ever really been around each other, and bunco is always so intense. I don't really feel like I get to know anybody in bunco, because it's like,
Yeah, you have those little moments, but there's short, there's short, few and far between.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I do, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. And I didn't tell you these in the email, so I hope you're not blindsided.
No, I'm good. No, you're...
But I want like a short 1 or 2 word answer. And I'm going to let you flesh these out as we go through the conversation for sure. Mm-hmm. But they're going to have to do with each of the 3 main topics. So the first is, what's your favorite genre of music? Like, if you had to pick just one.
Ooh, favorite genre? That's a tough one.
I don't think I could do this, by the way.
Sorry.
I always ask the guests this, and I don't think I could do it.
maybe like rock.
Okay.
You know, I know it's a huge window. I'm going for
yeah.
a big umbrella. For
Yeah.
that one, obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
It'd be rock, and then I don't know if that's part of the question, but down the line would either have been like alternative or blues past that.
Okay.
Because I also feel it's like a big umbrella ultimately.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. What else do I got? Politically, and I know this is a difficult one because it's hard to pick one or the other. Do you tend to lean more right or more left in some of your beliefs politically?
I would say left.
Left,
Definitely has some kind of centrist ideas too, and just try to hear things out generally. But I would say ultimately more blue.
Okay. Well, living in California.
It's not royal blue. It's not royal blue. It's just...
So you're not like dead set on it.
That's not royal.
Okay, cool. And in one word, if you could describe your spiritual beliefs, what would that be? And again, I'm gonna let you flesh this out later.
I don't know. I guess I'll just the one word. I think I just gonna.
So these are hard, dude.
It's
I know.
like the Catholic in me wants to just say Catholic. I wanted but for some reason I want to say like something more whimsical, you know, like love or something,
right?
You know,
right.
or
okay.
But
I'll give you two. I'll give you Catholic and love. That works. That works.
Yeah.
And then we'll flesh into that some out later. So, all right, cool. Well, tell me like kind of about your day to day, like where you work. Do you live? Have you lived in the area your whole life, pretty much? Or?
Yeah, I've lived in the area most of my life. Yeah, between like Santa Maria and Slow.
Okay.
Like born in Santa Maria. So,
okay. Yeah. Okay. And you lived in Slow for a while?
Yeah, I've lived in Slow. Yeah, for a little bit. I lived like behind the airport. It's kind of a funky little sitch, but it was fun.
Okay. I was gonna say like that's not cheap over there. So
no, yeah, it was funky. It was like a room above this other house, and I shared with a friend of mine, and it was like the smallest room. I don't think there was a way to cook in there.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No stove or nothing. Not a microwave.
I think I only survived from him being gone because he was kind of having like a baby at the time. So he was like a roommate, non-roommate. So I think that's what kind of kept it going. It was like, I felt like I didn't have a roommate.
Was that like before you met Sylvia then?
Yeah. Yeah, it was right before. Yeah, we had like a cat and like it was flea infested. It was just like, it got like pretty funny, pretty quick.
That's the good times though. That's stories you tell for years to come.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Sylvia met me when I was living there. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I was living there.
And she married you anyway. So
absolutely.
It's obviously true love.
You know? Yeah, absolutely.
and work, you work for Ernie Ball, right? Am I right on that, or is that?
Yes, I work at Ernie Ball. I've been there since like 2018 or so.
Okay.
So it's been
and what do you do there? I mean, that's like, is it like a factory that you work at?
Yes, so it's a factory. It's like Ernie Ball / like Music Man. Music Man is like kind of more of the instrument kind of side of things, and I worked in a lot of different departments there, from finishing, a little bit of buffing. I didn't really like any of that. I always like electronic stuff, little electric things. I think are kind of neat and cool. So just real basic electronics, like wiring and waxing.
For instruments.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So I make the guitar pickups. So
yeah,
it's like a fun It's not like too complex, but PC boards, and wax and winding.
You ever have any like people that you know that you worked on a certain instrument that they like were famous and they used it or something, or?
Yeah, stuff like that happens. You know, it's hard. Things happen all the time with bands I've never heard of, and some probably are still around. You know, I know I seen like a bass come through. I don't even know if I made the pickup for it. I'm sure I did for Less Than Jake. I remember thinking,
oh, nice.
Everything that was kind of cool.
Okay. So like they sent it there to like be repaired, or they was like a custom.
I think it was like a custom one for the bass player, and I think that was super neat. And like we work with like other groups that I like, and like the Descendants is kind of one. We make
Shut up.
Yeah.
Really?
We make a guitar for Steve Edgerton.
No way.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Well, I just learned not too long ago that it's pronounced that way. I always said Egerton because it's got the two G's. But it's like Edgerton. What in the world?
Finally had it set around my work enough for someone to say it right. I'm like, oh, okay.
So have you met him then, or
no? I've never actually met him. He has a really cool guitar. It's a neat design. There's like no knobs. It's like straight from the cable to the pickup to the jack. Like it's just real basic scenario, but. Yeah, no, it's fun.
That's
like
awesome, dude.
stuff,
yeah, Descendants is one of my favorite all-time, top 5 probably favorite bands of all time.
Yeah, I really like them a lot. Yeah, they're great.
But I love Les and Jake too. That's probably one of my favorite, third wave ska bands of all time too. When it comes to the kind of the punky ska, I really
there's a ton to love about that music, those bands. I think maybe even more so recently, just my own playing music and everything. Like the bass lines for that kind of music.
Okay.
There's just something that's really special. Obviously, the lyrics is probably the most important, but sometimes it's like, for me lately, kind of recollecting on these bass lines, like, shoot, that stuff was real genius.
Yeah.
Like, it was, even today, it's just like, man, it's just so inspiring stuff that, like, the original bass player, like Tony Lombardo, Carl Alvarez and stuff, like, just, it's so good.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was such its own, like, voice in the music. I felt like,
well, and it's unique, right? Like I can hear a bass line. Let's say it's a song I don't even know, and I can know it's the Descendants.
Yeah,
like you just know it. It
has its own thing. I always wonder what was the thing behind it. I guess I was reading a thing how the original bass player Tony Lombardo kind of wanted to be a guitarist, so he kind of went towards it in a guitar mindset. I don't know.
Yeah.
So he'd never be a good enough guitar player. I don't know, but I love what he did.
Yeah.
So
I think playing bass is harder than guitar in some ways. Like because most guitars you're pretty much just playing chords, which I think is easier than playing bass.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're shredding like whatever, then obviously that's hard. If you're like Stevie Ray Vaughan or somebody like that, or Joe Satriani, or some of these guys are just amazing, obviously. But like for the general guitar player, it's just strumming. You're playing chords. You're just But the bass player's always kind of in the background there, just kind of doing his own thing.
Absolutely, and I feel like a lot of times with so much music where like the bass lines don't always go with like the lyrics. I don't know if that's by design or just by the stuff I listen to. So I could definitely see some holes where it's like could be a lot harder to sing certain types of music and play that kind of bass line. Where like guitar. I see a lot more avenues where it's a lot more possible.
Right.
Obviously, not all styles. Obviously, certain ones where you can't. Obviously sing it.
Well, there's some bass players that just play right along with it, and they're boring.
Yeah, a lot of it. Like you just get just enough, and you kind of need a little more than that.
Yeah.
Like it's cool to toe the line, but you got to kind of pave your own path.
Sure. Well, my all-time favorite bass player is Matt Freeman from Rancid and Op Ivy, and just because. I mean, you listen in the background, and the guy is just—it's amazing. Like it's like, whoa! It's not even going. I mean, it's going with it, but it's not.
Yes.
And it sounds amazing. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I can't even fathom that.
Yeah, I didn't really listen to a lot of Op Ivy in a while. Until recently, I've been kind of repolishing it off and going back to bass ideas and just kind of going back to that stuff. And it really is like re-inspiring again. The stuff that kind of inspired me in the first place, really, but kind of re-going back to that, and it's like, wow, it really. Well, it holds up. It's so cool. It's neat. The Op Ivy stuff, the Rancid stuff, it's so cool. Yeah.
And you guys went and saw them live, right? Rancid?
Yes. I've seen them at least once. Okay. I saw them with Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah, that was at Avila, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
And I've gone to like a few festivals. I don't know if they played the Inland Invasion one. I feel like everyone was there at that one. And I've gone, but I'm pretty sure I've seen them at a Warped Tour. Like I think it was
I'm
Warped
sure,
Tour, like 01 or something.
Way back.
02 maybe.
Okay.
So I saw like Fear that day.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, saw AFI. That was like the beginning.
Nice.
That was like the beginning of Davey kind of going that direction.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I started losing interest in that kind of AFI. Much love for them. Let them do their own thing. Actually, I was talking to both roommates about that. They don't have one roommate doesn't care for that early AFI at all anymore. Okay. The other one's kind of okay. I think they feel a little nostalgic about it. Okay. But that's like the only AFI I really like.
So when you say early, you're talking like Very Proud of You and
like the 90s stuff. And even like Art of Drowning. There's some stuff there I like. But I don't know. It's just like there's so talented still. I don't
yeah.
like act like I'm taking anything away from them.
But it's different. It's definitely different.
And there's like, it does go back to like, I guess, I don't know if it's a joke I say, but it's a thing I've been saying. It's like, oh, dang it, why don't they want to do the same album 9 more times? You know,
right.
like,
yes.
Oh, I'm so mad at you for that. Like,
right.
You know, for the sake of art, I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I love these bands that have like punk and abandoned it in one record, like the Beastie Boys or something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like, oh, we love punk, and just completely abandoned punk, do something completely different that's super cool and neat in its own way, and that's still fine too. Like,
and then brought it back with Sabotage, though.
Yeah, yes, and then that's cool. They need to see they weave that still back into their music and not completely abandoned in their style.
Right.
I think there's something neat about that. Like some bands can do the same album like 7, 8, 9, 12 times, and that's okay. And I still like those bands. Those bands, I would say, like, are AC/DC's one example of that. Like, it's great. You know, I don't really want to hear a folk album by them.
No.
You know, like, and like another band that I really like that does the same album over and over, and I still love it, is Dropkick Murphys.
Right.
It's the same thing. Like, it's the same record, but I dig it. There's always something new in it, like, that keeps it alive, of energy, and, like, you know, some kind of poignant, like, current social situation that's kind of going on, which they're always trying to keep up with that, which I appreciate. So
I can see it both sides. I can see from the fan perspective where it's like, you wrote this album, you recorded this album, we love this album, and then your next one is a totally different gear, and you're going, what happened to you, right? But from the band's perspective, they're like, we want to expand, we want to create new stuff, we want to go. You know, I think one of my favorite examples of that is like Pearl Jam. Right, they released 10, and everybody lost their minds, and it was the greatest thing ever. And then they released Verses, and it's like, wait, what is this? And then they just continue to get kind of more folksy as they went. And then, you know, they've gone back and forth throughout the years now, but they've never written anything like 10 ever again. Like, it's just, and I think that was conscious. They were like, we don't want to do that anymore. And I'm like, dude, that was one of the greatest albums ever made. Like, how could you not, you know? So I get both sides. And if I was in a band, I would probably be that more experimental, maybe. But I'm like, well, maybe that's why some bands have side projects, right? He's in this band, and it's hardcore, and he's got this like country side project or something or whatever, you know? Absolutely, and I would say I relate to that even personally with my own bands as well. Because you've been in quite a few, yes? Yeah, so like currently I'm in this band called Long Straw. It's like an alt country kind of Americana situation where I play drums. Okay. And it's nice. It's laid back. We get to play a lot of venues around here, which is nice. Very singer-songwriter, but you know, there's something about me that needed still like a different angle in music, and which prompted me to want to, you know, also do this project called Horsewater. Okay, that's the one I've seen. So Sylvia showed me some videos of that. So yeah, I play bass and sing in that one, and that's more of like a bottle rocket energy, you know, more just a lot and a little thing, you know, just that was, you know, something different. What's the name mean? Horsewater. Well, actually, the guitar player came up with the name, and I don't know how he actually came up with it. But he's the one who came up with it. But for what it's worth, like, I guess Sylvia says the word probably more than me. But it does come up in our daily life sometimes. We live kind of like on a farm. Yeah. So sometimes the water will end up being low because someone's using the water improperly. Like filling up the horse water, you know, like to water their horses, water the horse, and then they'll leave it on, so we'll go inside and the tap will be like real low pressure, and like, oh, it's the horse water. And I just act like I can't hear it or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like I can't hear that the water is low. You know, just kind of ignore a situation as long as I can. You know, but she'll see it for what it's worth. Like, oh yeah, all right. Okay. Kind of turn off the water. Yeah, and are you still in both those bands? Yes, currently. Concurrently, yeah. So Horsewater just recorded. We're in the process of getting it mixed and mastered. Oh, nice. So like an EP or like I think an EP is what we're going for right now. We'd like to get it to wax, so we're hoping for a vinyl release, but definitely some kind of digital release this year. So that's awesome. Yeah, very excited about that. That's very cool. Then Longstraw is actually gearing up to record this month at Sonic Milk Recording in Cambria. Okay. So I used to work with the engineer. His name's Graham Ginsberg. He's a really cool guy. I think we've always had good conversations with music and stuff like that. He's kind of, I know, I think
when he first wanted to say hi to me was when I was wearing like a Zappa shirt to work.
Oh, nice.
So that's always a good start. You know,
Yeah.
a hot rat shirt, and everyone's like,
nice.
Most people start conversation with there. It's usually pretty good. It's like Zappa fans.
Yeah.
They're crazy, but yeah.
Okay. Well, that's cool, man. I'm looking forward to that because I've been asking Sylvia, I was like, do they have anything out, like recorded? And all she's really showed me is like some live footage and stuff. And, especially not being there, it's hard to really get a grasp on what's going on from a video. So it'll be cool to hear some actual recorded stuff. So, I mean, your musical taste seems very diverse. So, I mean, where does that start? Were your parents like exposing you to music growing up, or?
Yeah, really early on, all kinds of different stuff.
Okay.
Like my mom would have stuff like the Beatles and Simon & Garfunkel,
Nice.
David Bowie,
Okay.
and stuff like that. Even Alice Cooper around, and my dad would have more of like a, I don't know how you'd say, like more maybe funkier.
Okay.
Stuff
Okay.
like Parliament Funkadelic,
Nice.
Earth, Wind and Fire, bands like Maze, Isley Brothers,
Okay.
stuff I really love to this.
Yeah.
All those things to this day, if not more so to this day.
So your mom was more into the white music, your dad was more into the black music.
Yeah, I would say so. They both appreciate each side, but as far as like comparing their CD collections or whoever was putting that on, then absolutely, yeah,
Right.
absolutely,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the first time you remember actually thinking to yourself, I really like this? Like whether it was hearing something your parents were playing, like a song or something, you're like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Oh, it's hard to say. I do have some kind of memories of like, her playing really Beatles records, and, or maybe seeing it on TV and just being kind of enamored with the look. With what it looked like happening live with that music that I liked so much.
Do you remember what it was that you were seeing? Was it a video by them, or was it like Yellow Submarine or something?
I think it might have been maybe even some of that like Ed Sullivan kind of early stuff.
Oh, like the boy band stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember thinking that they're having so much fun. And I thought it was neat,
That's like, look at all the girls screaming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, how can I achieve that?
Exactly. I would absolutely. I think it's both. It's like having so much fun live. It spoke to me. Even to this day, and it's still something that I try to hold true to. Even the music that I'm trying to do. Kind of keep that energy going of like the music that inspired me to to kind of keep that alive.
Which isn't very easy. Like I've noticed, like you don't really hear a lot of bands that sound similar to stuff from the 60s and the 70s. I mean, you can tell they're kind of trying, but it's hard, right? Because you have to almost be immersed in that culture. And I've thought about like if you did an experiment and not that I'd promote this because experimenting on babies is not, I don't like that, but like if you just had a child and you basically raised them as if it was the 60s. And they were listening to nothing like the Beatles and the stuff like that, like kind of classic rock kind of stuff of that time, and then taught them to be musicians themselves. Like what kind of music would they create without the outside influence of the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s and like that kind of music? You know what I mean? Like I just wonder what that would look like.
Yeah,
but
be interesting.
Yeah. Are you still a big Beatles fan today? Like, do you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think probably still my favorite band.
Oh, like of all time?
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I don't know why I was like. We didn't do too much pre-question stuff with the wife. That's one thing she mentioned. Like, no, I guess that'll be it. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Well, because she's a huge Beatles, right?
Yeah.
So, she's got pictures up at work all over the place.
Yeah, no, I'm still a big fan of it and their side projects and other things.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Beatle?
Probably George. I'd say George.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's me too.
Yeah, George.
I don't meet a lot of people that like George the best.
Yeah, I think George's the best.
I like him because he was just chilling. Like he wasn't loud and obnoxious, and the couple songs that he wrote within the Beatles were great. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it might have been only like one or two per album, but they were good.
And All Things Must Pass album's just incredible.
Right.
And Concert for Bangladesh is an awesome record.
Yeah, he's a good one. Favorite Beatles album? You prefer like more of the early stuff or more of the psychedelic?
Oh my God, I like it all so much. I feel like I've had my waves of which ones I like more at times. But right now, probably. Dang it!
Depends on the day, right?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's go with like Abbey Road. There's lots to like there.
That's a good one. Yeah. I think I love all of it, but I prefer kind of the later, maybe mid to later, probably Rubber Soul, then Revolver, and then into this more psychedelic. So that's probably my favorite era. But I love all of it. I mean, it's all awesome. Because like you, I grew up listening. My parents were big on it, and I mean, I got pictures of my dad when he was like younger, hair down to his butt, and total hippies, right? Total hippies back in the day, and it's so funny because the man I grew up with was nothing like that. Like, they had me, chopped his hair off, like, so you'd even see pictures like that. I'm like, wait, what? You guys were like hippies? Like, when did that happen? So it's really a trip. But
That's very interesting.
But he's still into the Beatles and all that stuff. So he definitely pushed me in that, exposing me to that kind of stuff growing up. So if you could like, I mean, and then we'll go from here. But yeah, so Beatles, one of your favorite bands. Can you list a couple others that are your favorites?
Like a bunch. I don't even know where to start, but gotta start somewhere. Like the Who, the Stones, the Animals, and classic stuff like that.
Yeah. Do the Animals have any other songs besides "House of the Rising Sun"?
They do. They have like, I think have like two more.
Okay. All right.
"It's My Life," "I'll Do What I Want" and stuff.
Okay.
Gosh,
I don't think I would recognize any of the other ones because that's the only one, and I love that song. I've even heard some punk bands cover that song. That's really good, but.
Of any genre?
Yeah. I mean, right now we're kind of in the classic rock section, but I mean, yeah.
Okay, I could jump around too. Like, the Viagra Boys, probably like a new band I like.
I've never heard of that.
They're very new. They put out a new record like last week. They played Coachella. They're like Swiss or Swedish, so I feel bad that I mix it up. I know they're different.
Yeah. At least that's close.
Yeah.
At least you're not like they're from Tibet or something.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that'd be way off.
But yeah, they have a new, really good record. They're kind of like post-punk or something like that. So a lot of stuff like that. I like a lot of post-punk as well, like Magazine, Susie and the Banshees. A lot of British punk in general, like Ian Dury, all those little fun like single name guys like Elton Motello, Johnny Moped, just like Reckless Eric is someone I just got into.
Reckless Eric?
Reckless Eric, yeah. Like people like Nick Lowe. Nick Lowe's a little bit more of like, maybe more pop sensibility, but still kind of out of the vein of punk and stuff. Like, and then the most famous out of that pile of names is like Elvis Costello. It's kind of that same kind of, like punk, not punk, but
Okay. So you're all over the place.
Okay, yeah, all kinds. And I feel like that's barely anything, like, I don't know. Like,
do you like anything like hip hop or country or anything like that? I
do like some stuff like that. Like hip hop. Like some. I don't listen to a lot. Like some Wu-Tang, stuff like that. Hip hop. I'm just gonna get schooled on that one. That one, like, I need to learn more on. What was the other genre option you gave me?
Country.
I really like David Allan Coe a lot, and he's like, he has some questionable things, and that's fine. He deserves to be questioned on those things.
I don't know who that is. What do you mean by questionable? Like his lyrics are
he has a couple albums that are pretty outright profane. They're like, you can only find them like online, and they're just like all.
Like sexually perverse, or
there's some of that, and then kind of outright racist songs.
Oh, okay.
Like outright, like not even
trying to hide it.
Yeah, like it'd be hard to even say some of the words without it being edited or.
Oh wow!
I wouldn't even want to say some of them out loud. They're pretty bad.
And this is he's still releasing stuff.
No, he has two records like that. One of them's called like Bootleg Record. One's called like. Nothing to hide or something weird.
Did they come out like years ago?
Yeah, 78, 82. They're available in like some kind of biker magazine or something. You had to kind of know a guy or something. But it was like overtly offensive and pretty bad. It's really bad.
Because like now, I don't think you could really get away with something like that.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Kind of like his whole like if that ain't country, holds the N word in that in that song, and I think it comes often online. It's kind of interesting about that one. I'm not really sure. I don't necessarily agree with that usage of words, but I also have a big part of me that so believes in freedom of speech.
Right, exactly.
So it's tricky in that one because it's I don't think there's definitely a realm of where maybe that person should be saying that, but then that also really goes back to freedom of speech again.
Right.
It's
don't you think it would just weed itself out though in a sense, like freedom of speech, and say he's allowed to be racist on his album.
Yeah.
He's allowed to write the most racist album that's ever been written. How many people are going to buy that? You know what I mean? Like he's not going to sell many records, I don't think, because of that.
It's hard to say. Yeah, I don't know.
Unless it was just for the novelty of it.
And I think at least at the time, I don't think he wanted. It didn't seem like they were trying to get it out, but I don't know. I don't know if there was a weird moment at Columbia Records or whatever record label he was on where there was the exec maybe thought about it. I don't know. It seemed like they had no intention of really getting it out there, but I can't really speak to that because I don't know.
Well, that's always the hard thing, right? And even to be a record label owner, or because even back to the Beatles, we're talking about the Beatles. They used to veil their sexual songs because the producer wouldn't let them say what they really wanted to say. And that's why when they did their solo stuff and they were free, and that's when Lennon started dropping words and saying stuff, they're whoa, what did he say?
Yeah.
But you never hear that in the Beatles. They write songs like Drive My Car, which is all about sex, but it's not explicitly, so it would go under the radar and be like, oh, drive my car, okay, nobody, people are too stupid at the time to get it, I guess, but I think now that would be a concern, right? As a record label owner, you're like, okay, even if it was a well-established popular band, you got this band that is going to sell no matter what, just because their name is whatever, but they're like, okay, but they want to get really controversial with their lyrics, and then you're like, oh crap, I don't know, is this gonna get us in hot water? Because as a label, if we put this out, now that looks bad on us, but then we don't want to lose this band because they're a huge moneymaker for us, so it's just, I would not want to be in that business.
It's tricky. X's Los Angeles is another song that has some words that I won't say, but but I also believe in, like I said, back people's rights to. I feel like that song is a lot more the context of art and stuff, and I'm sure there could be an open discussion about that, absolutely, where, they shouldn't be saying, and then that's fine and all, and I'm sure there's a right to it too. It's funny because, especially the song's called Los Angeles, and I was actually in a band a couple of years ago, and we actually covered that song.
Oh, really?
And and I was someone who did the background vocals with that, and there was... So that part of the song would come up, and I would say, I would fill in the words that they would use that I took away, and I put I would say Palestinian and Jew, and that was still so much more better than what the words they
did they use racial slurs?
Yeah, they use racial slurs in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was able to kind of mix that in there.
Okay,
I could say that. I don't feel I can. Yeah. There's more wordplay in that, depending on what side you're blah blah blah. But I ain't saying the N word. That's just not who I am. I don't think I have any personal business saying that word.
Sure.
Here or anywhere, and I kind of feel like that way for most other people, but I can only kind of live my own life as much as I can.
I mean, for me, it's I can get into a huge discussion with somebody, and I have in the past, about the meaning of the word, who can say it, who shouldn't say it, and I have my own thoughts on that, but ultimately, I don't have any reason to say it. I can live my life without saying that word just fine. I can get my point across without saying that. You know what I mean? I can't think of any situation in my life where I was like, well, I have to say it. I mean, I have to say it right there. No, why?
I don't see it clearing up anything, for our world. So.
And the song's Los Angeles. It's by X, the band?
X.
As in John Doe?
Yeah.
What's her name? Exene?
Exene.
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
So that's one.
She was in another. Did you ever hear the band Antichrist?
I've heard about them. Actually, never heard them.
It's spelled like uncle and aunt, like auntie, like Auntie M from Oz. But it's Antichrist. It's a joke, but it was on you're familiar with Lookout Records?
I am, actually. Okay. Yeah, I actually just did a little re-dive with that just because of everything in the air, going back to Operation Ivy and stuff.
Exactly.
I think I caught some Coachella shows on the TV. I didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
And I actually watched the Green Day one.
Okay.
And I thought Green Day did really good. I was probably more impressed with them than I probably ever have been.
Okay. This was a recent
as like
concert at Coachella
2 weeks ago, maybe.
Like, okay.
Yeah, and they were great. I thought they did wonderful, and I forget how much I do actually like their music.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just liking them and all that stuff. It just kind of reminds me of just being young and how people would like try to gatekeep, the bands and all the controversy, like who's punk and who isn't and all that stuff. And like, I guess like we just still live in different kind of realms of these worlds of people gatekeeping different little small communities and whatever the heck.
Yeah, which is dumb.
Which, it was super dumb. Absolutely. The older and older I get, it's like I just like whatever that gate thing was, I just like run over it over and over now. But but I'm glad I still have some of my memory isn't all gone.
Yeah.
And thinking about those younger times when I was really young and thought that that maybe that was a way of thinking.
Yeah.
Even though I was trying to find this new way of being a free thinker.
Sure.
But yet there's all this world of like, oh well, you're not punk if you listen to this and blah 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 blah. And then in the end you realize that really punk to me, I think it's different for everyone, but I think it's just like being you and doing your own thing and almost unapologetically, I guess,
Yeah. Well, I mean, Green Day to me is a perfect example because like everybody, when Dookie came out and then into Insomniac and like as they started to grow out of that Berkeley scene where they were playing with Lookout Records and all that stuff, but they were still playing punk. Right, they hadn't yet changed. I mean, they did change as time went on, obviously, just like AFI. They kind of morphed into something different. But when they were being called sellouts, they hadn't changed their style. I mean, Dookie is one of the most punk albums they have ever made, and it was great, and it was awesome, and it really kind of brought the world into that world, and maybe that's why people were upset, like people in the Berkeley scene, and they're like, oh, we used to watch them play at Gilman Street, and we see all these little, these young kids and stuff, and now they're on MTV. Like, what's that all about? But I'm like, dude, they're still playing the same kind of music, and they're making money doing it. They can make a living. Good for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing if you're like, man, they changed and they totally went pop just to make money. That's a sellout. I get it, right? You've literally gone a different direction for the purpose of being popular or making money. I get it, but I love how I'm a huge Green Day fan, by the way. I don't know if you are or not, but I've liked them from the get-go and even up into the newest album. I still enjoy it. But he has a side band called Pinhead Gunpowder. Are you familiar?
Yeah, I've kind of heard about it. Okay. I think I maybe heard something over the years, like probably like from a compilation or something like that. Those comps were always so big and important back then.
Well, they've done a really good job of not being out there mainstream and all that. And I mean, they started like 91, I think. So probably during the Kerplunk era of Green Day is when Pinhead Gunpowder started. And, Billy Joe's there's two singers. He's one of them. And the drummer's like a guy that's real big in the punk scene. Like he was in Crim Shrine and some other bands back then. But they've done a really good job of just staying underground. Even with the huge success and popularity of Green Day, it's like you'd think that more people would know about them. And it's kind of impressive. But it's funny because here everybody's calling him a sellout, yet he's still doing this other band, playing small shows locally or whatever. And you know what I mean? It's like, I think that's awesome, and I think that's really, really cool. But yeah, if you check out some more of their stuff, because they've got some good stuff.
Yeah, no, I really did enjoy that stuff, the first record, and I think I need to dig deeper into their catalog. I think that's what my whole bit, because I definitely think their early stuff is just solid. Have you got a chance to listen to The Lookouts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. All right.
I have.
Cool.
Yeah, I when I first got into punk, it was Bad Religion is what got me in, because I watched and I don't know if you heard the story or not. I know all the listeners have heard the story a million times, but I saw Pearl Jam play in Golden Gate Park when I was like 15. and Bad Religion opened up for them. I didn't know what punk was. I had no idea. They came out and they just killed it. And I was like, okay, this is great. This is the best thing ever. And then I came home. I went to Circuit City, which was where Joanne's is now. I don't know if you remember when Circuit City was there. I bought every Bad Religion album I could get my hands on, fell in love with it. Then I started getting like Epitaph records, like compilations. So they started exposing me to like Pennywise and some of these other bands on that label. Well, then I got heavy into Fat Records and heavy into Lookout Records and all the bands that came along with that. So there was a time where I think I owned everything on each of those labels up to like the 100th release. So I heard all the Lookout stuff, the early Lookout stuff with where Trey Cool was the drummer, right, and all that, and just great stuff, man. You know, and then I want to say because back then the only way to get that was on records. Yeah. There was no CDs of it. There was no digital music back then. Yeah. So I'm on Lookout website like ordering like these 7-inch records and these LP records that are coming, and I'm listening to the Lookouts on a record player, right? Like it's like because that was the only way you could hear it. And I think last I checked, they did release the entire Lookouts catalog on a CD now. Or I'm sure you can probably get it digitally too. I haven't even looked into that, but just to have that remastered and sounding better. So a lot of those early Lookout bands and even the Lookouts. So
and especially it's like at least it's not all lost on me, but some of it's like those booklet. I made a booklet like that.
Oh yeah,
it'd be so cool, like a complete one. Like okay, screw it. Like, There's just something nice about that. Just being able to see all the old photos.
I want somebody to make a movie. Like a documentary about that, like late 80s, early 90s Berkeley scene, like the 924 Gilman Street.
I think there's a book. Is there? I want to think Larry Livermore might have a book.
Oh, get out of here.
I want to think he does.
Okay, I got to check that out.
We'll see. We have to edit. If there isn't, we'll have to edit it out.
Yeah. All these people listening go, I'm going to go get it.
I saw this one out there. And that's one thing. I was like, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Because it's really cool. It's just such a cool thing. How many bands came out of that? And have you ever heard of 15? That's my all-time favorite band is called 15. They morphed out of Crimpshrine, which is all part of that early... Like, Crimpshrine, the singer for Op Ivy, Jesse Michaels, was the singer for Crimpshrine. And then he left to start Op Ivy, and then the guitarist for Crimpshrine stepped up on vocals, and then once Crimpshrine broke up, they became 15, and the singer started a band called 15. And they were all on Lookout in the early days.
So that was before Common Rider then?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Common Rider was after Op Ivy broke up. Quite a while after. In fact, there was another band called Big Rig that Jesse Michaels was in between Op Ivy and Common Rider. And it was on. They had one EP on Lookout, and does like 4 songs, and they're great.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But Common Rider's great too. I love that album.
Yeah, that's one I remember. Like I didn't get super into it, but I remember enjoying some. A friend of mine was. He was very thorough. It kind of reminds me of you, Blake Snyder.
Yeah.
But those comps again, those were huge.
Oh yeah,
the comps were so big. Like you would just get turned on all these bands, and
they were usually like $1 or $2. Remember, they were like so cheap.
They were cheap.
You get like 30 songs on there from all these bands you've never heard of. You know,
get like 30 songs. You have like 40 minutes of music.
Yeah,
you know?
Because the punk songs are like a minute and a half each, if even that. Yeah,
it's funny. Looking back, I'm like, I swear those songs were not that short. You know, and I have this memory lapse, and I go back like, no. That Misfits song is 1 minute and 28 seconds.
Yeah.
It's always been 1 minute and 28 seconds. Like, no, there's no way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I love that though. I mean, I love that I can listen to a whole punk album in 20 minutes. You know, it's just like, yes, put it on, you're done. It's like, okay, gets to the point. None of these, not a whole lot of guitar solos or anything like that. Just say it like it is, you know?
Yeah.
Are there any other like early Lookout bands that you know of? Or?
No.
I'm really impressed that you know the Lookouts.
No, I think it kind of caps out at that point. I think what was Blatz?
Yes.
I think Blatz was that. That was cool. And like I said, I've been going through a little bit of that one lately. So some Blatz. That stuff was cool.
Yeah.
Really. That was really fun stuff.
Yes.
Blatz and Filth.
Those always go together. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Because I think they released an album together.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's a Blatz Filth. Yeah.
Long thing, but it was like a full discography of 2 bands in one package. I was like, wow, okay. It's like 2 whole groups with entire career, like in one thing. It's neat. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Really, really cool.
I felt like it all held up. I definitely it held up.
Yeah. Like,
not everything holds up, you know? Like some of the stuff, not everything does.
Yeah. Some of it's really, really weird and kind of hard. Like, I just started re-listening to Sticky. You ever heard that band? S3E28. It's kind of one of the, I want to say that No Use for a Name, I might be wrong on this, but No Use for a Name morphed out of that band, I believe. Like maybe one of the original members was the guitarist that started. I mean, Tony Sly wasn't a part of it, but they kind of No Use for a Name kind of morphed out of it. But yeah, it's very weird. Like it's.
I think so. You said you've listened to like every Bad Religion record.
Oh yeah.
So you listened to the second full length album.
Second official full length would be No Control.
No, I think it's called like
Suffer.
Like From Beyond.
Oh, you're going way back.
Yeah.
Into the unknown.
Into the unknown.
Into the unknown, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
With Wild Goose Chase and those songs on there,
okay,
yeah.
it's like a ton of keyboards in it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I fell into that one. Like,
right.
I only found out about that like a couple of years ago or something. Like, like they did good on burying that body. Like they're just like so much dirt on it. It broke up the band.
But
you know?
Back to the Known was the next EP.
Yeah, the EP,
out.
and that's back to back to basics. And they got some of the old rhythm section back. I don't know all the names, but the guys came back.
Yeah,
but it was one of those like it broke the band and like understandably, like you asked a band to go prog from that in LA, you know, and I don't know their inner turmoils and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but that kind of a genre switch, like.
But they tried it.
It failed. I commend them on it,
and they brought it back.
I totally commend them on it. I can't think of any other punk band that's even tried that arc.
Right.
You know, I think
not
of
that
like
drastic.
Like even Blitz here.
Okay.
You ever heard of Blitz?
No.
Blitz.
Not Blatz. Blitz.
This is Blitz. So we're in Britain, 1980. You know, working class skinhead punk. Non-racist. I don't know if to say that nowadays.
So
but you'd be surprised if you have to say things.
So
like
they just
that.
had hairdos of skinheads, but they didn't believe in the idea.
Correct. And they just had it was like the record was like street punk, Voice of a Generation. It's like it's an awesome album.
And it's like early 80s?
It's like 82.
Okay.
And then next year, 83, they have like, I think it's called like New World Justice or something. And it's just all dark wave.
Oh, no way.
He just was just like, I'm getting a synthesizer. You know, I think he just was like, I just have this vision of him just staring into his Guinness. It's like, I'm getting a synth.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. I love that record, honestly. It's like super weird. When I was young, I didn't exactly attach to it.
Does everybody hate it to this day, though? Or did it kind of get a cult following?
I think it's maybe a small cult following. Like most, I think most people want to just like forget it. People of a punk skinhead like, but anyone I think who would celebrate dark wave music on any level, I think would love it. It just saw real compressed drums. It sounds so just just kind of this dancey weird thing, but it's fun. Like with 1 year of that record, the street punk record, they just went dark wave synth.
But if they would have put that out as a different band, it probably would have done fine. But it's because people were expecting something like the first album, and they were like, "What is this?" I think so too.
I think if they probably could have wore two different hats, absolutely, they could have kept the Blitz moniker and then also went this one direction. But But that's definitely one of those examples of like what a first album could be so much of one thing and the second album be so much of the other. Like I think another one of my favorite bands I must mention is the Meat Puppets.
Okay.
Favorite bands. They're up there. They're like next to the Beatles. They're like 2 or 3. Like
that's pretty
really up there. I don't know.
Somewhat underground.
Like
not a lot of people
lately. Yeah. And they kind of fall under a similar thing. Like the first record's just straight punk. Like, and the second album is not.
Right.
And they're just like right off the fly. You know, it's all these other podcasts that talk about that stuff. But the people, they didn't like it. They weren't ready for it. They were just pissed. Yeah. And, to me, that's also very punk too, is pissing everyone off, doing what you think is right.
That's the attitude part of it, right?
Like, knowing that you're not going to be accepted, but like knowing it's the right thing to do for you, for your art, there's a beauty in that. So
and I mean, I think that a lot of bands kind of they bring it back in a sense, and that doesn't mean that they're selling out again or whatever. Like it's just like, well, that didn't really work very well for us. Like even with Bad Religion and Into the Unknown, they're like, we pretend that album doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though there are like Billy Gnosis is a decent song. I mean, there's some decent songs on that album, but when you're coming off of How Could Hell Be Any Worse? And then you go into that one, you're like, wait, whoa, what in the world? But then with Back to the Known and then releasing Suffer in 1988 was like, that's kind of what put them on the map in a sense, right? That was the first. I think that was no, maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was the first Epitaph release, but maybe not. Maybe How Could Hell Be, because they own that record label.
Yeah.
So, but that one, and then just continuing on, and then of course they went through. By the time I came in, it was like Stranger Than Fiction, Recipe for Hate kind of era, which is when everybody was crying foul again, saying they sold out because they signed to whatever Atlantic or whatever it was, the big label or whatever. But I'm like, dude, this is solid.
It sounds the same.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same Bad Religion.
And it's great. I can listen to Stranger Than Fiction today, their sellout record, and be like, this is fantastic. This is just awesome. And even later on into even now, I mean, they released an album a couple of years ago, I believe.
They're so ashamed of that record. I have one of my first records of theirs that I really like, and like I said, I'm here's to come out, but it is what it is. I still like, a lot of Bad Religion music, but I love the early stuff. I really, really like it. Like
early, like what?
Like 80 through 85. Like that was literally the CD.
Oh, okay.
I had the CD. The CD is called 80 through 85.
Yeah, I had that one too.
That.
It's like got all the old stuff on one
but
CD.
it doesn't have the record that we're talking about. And that record sits in there chronologically.
It doesn't have a single song off it. Yeah,
it's like,
right. It has everything else, I believe. Everything else that was recorded up to Suffer is on there except Back or Into the Unknown.
Correct.
That's the only one.
Did not want you to know.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard that, and I came in late with them. So when I heard 8085, because I also got that from Circuit City, I was like, this is interesting, like because it sounded so raw, so much older, and it took a while to grow on me. Because that's one of the things. Like so I do enjoy some 80s, like early 80s punk and stuff, which I think it sounds more like that's kind of where you like most of your punk. I'm more like mid 90s skate punk stuff. That's my favorite, like Pennywise, NoFX, Guttermouth, that kind of stuff. But I do appreciate a lot of the early stuff. Minor Threat's one of my favorite bands of all time. They're obviously early 80s. Certain things like that. But for me to go from hearing like, later Bad Religion and then going to 8085, where I was like, well, this is weird, but I loved it eventually, and I think it was funny because I had already heard Sublime's 40 Ounces to Freedom, where they cover, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. We're only gonna die. Yeah. Yes, and they covered that, and I didn't know that was a cover. So when I heard it on 8085, I'm going, wait a minute. That's it. And I'm thinking, did Bad Religion cover Sublime? And I'm doing the dates in my head. It's like, no, wait, this came out in like 1983 or 1980, and this came out in, 94 or 3 or something. I don't remember when 40 Ounces came out, but I know I was in high school. So it was just a trip, but it grew on me eventually. But then you got bands like Descendants. We're talking about Descendants. You have Myler Goes to College, which to this day is my all-time. There's no album higher than that one for me. That's my favorite album of all time. That's awesome. And then they released their next albums, and it was kind of like, wait, what's happening? And there was a lot of weird stuff in there, like on I Don't Want to Grow Up and Enjoy and All, and it was like, what's happening? And then they brought it back around in like 96 with Everything Sucks. Yeah. And you're like, okay, here we go. Now we're back to kind of the skate punk kind of sound, and they've kind of kept that ever since, even up to the new stuff. But so I mean, bands do that, right? They try to experiment, and I get it, but at the same time, most of us are going, dude, don't do that anymore. They really did come and find themselves again. That lineup is just so good. Like, Bill Stevenson is just he's just a legend. So good. Like best punk drummer, like one of the best just drummers. Like his style and his just, oh man, the stuff he did with Descendants and Black Flag. Like, oh man, and some All. I like some All. I don't. It's been a while since I listened to them. I probably couldn't even tell you too many of their songs if I were being completely honest. But I do like them. Like that sound. So. Yeah, it's good stuff. So I heard a rumor. Speaking of Black Flag, that you're a huge Henry Rollins singer. Of Black Flag.
No! Oh gosh. Okay. So I'm not a big Rollins fan. I just think he's he just seems like a bit much. But like I don't know. He seems cooler than Johnny Rotten, I guess. But if we're trying, by comparison, but it's kind of that same realm of just like it just seemed. I don't know, like that's my favorite era of Black Flag is the Henry Rollins era. Like, oh man, that's just like I'm sure we disagree on that. And that's why I'm like, I want to like it. I want to like it, but I just can't. So that being said, I always try to find what I like about those eras. That being said, it's like the Family Man album.
Yeah.
I actually do appreciate some of that stuff there because it's such a weird record. Like, I think that's what I really like, how daring it is. It's the B side, I forget which side. I might be mixing up my sides, but whatever. There's an instrumental side.
Okay.
And just a punk band doing an instrumental side is just so like, that's so weird. That's so messed up. That's like, that's cool to me in that sense. Like, okay, I gotta give him that. Like, that is just so off base.
Right.
Like, bravo. You know what I mean? Like, yes, like,
it's daring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a soft spot for that. And then the other side being all spoken word, like, oh, you know, Ron's not really my guy. But, like, that is interesting. Like, not a lot of people were doing that. And I'd be lying if I didn't like some of that. Like, even that vocal stuff, I like some of that.
Sure.
Like, he was talking about, like, let my fingers do the walking. It's kind of like, it's kind of neat. It's like, I think there's something, like, beat. He's definitely like tapping into some like beat poetry stuff.
Well, and that
like,
morphed later on into when he was doing his solo stuff, or Henry Rollins band or whatever, you know, with Liar and like some of those songs.
Yeah, it's like I gotta give him something on that.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty cool. But
I think the Damaged record, that's Henry Rollins. Right?
Yeah, that's Rollins, and that's the one I gotta give that one credit. It's still a great record. Lots of cool songs on it. The lineup is just still killer. You still got Dez on guitar.
Right.
You got Robo on drums. So it isn't. Robo's awesome too. He's the other one who does great. You know, he did the record with Misfits as well. He's just an awesome drummer.
Have you ever heard State of Alert? SOA?
Yes, I have. Okay. It's been a while, but I remember liking that stuff too. I think that stuff was great. It was a type of music that I'm so ready to like. It's funny because it's not even anything against his voice. I think I think it was just.
Is it more like him as a person in a sense? Like he's this big old bodybuilder. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Some of that, but I also like it's just that Black Flag is hard for me to really like. Like I do like some of My War now. It's starting to grow on me. Some of it, the sludginess of it. I'm like, okay, it's kind of cool.
I like that one.
I could see, you know, hearing the stories and the influence, like I think is important. Like, you know, I think Greg Ginn was recording like Saint Vitus a lot, which is just so heavy. You ever listen to Saint Vitus? No. They're like this, like I don't know, like black metal kind of stuff that like that was part of SST. I was kind of doing an SST thing, and you could hear the sludginess. Like, I could kind of see what he's chewing on in that respect, you know, but. I just, slipping into those records, I just haven't really got into. Although I do like one of their last EPs, was it The Process of Weeding Out? Also an instrumental EP. Super cool.
Is this Black Flag?
Black Flag, okay. Yeah, that's a super fun record, so big fan of that.
I don't think I've heard that one.
But, Rollins, back to trying to say something nice about Rollins. That's always my thing. What can I say? I guess he did some writing. I just found out he did some writing for on a Minutemen record.
Oh, really?
He does some like collaborative writing with Dean Boone on Double Nickel on Dime, which has like 700 songs on it. So they probably need all the help they can get. Yeah, it's like an hour and a half of their music. So obviously it's like 100 songs.
Yeah,
it's just more songs than you'd ever hear. But I saw that it contributed, and I'm like, man, that's cool. That's another thing I gotta give him. Like I can't take that away now. You know.
Do you ever see him in acting, Henry Rollins?
Oh, I did see him on something.
I can only think of one thing that he was ever in.
What
was it? It was a Keanu Reeves movie called Johnny Mnemonic. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
It was kind of an unknown. Like it was at the height of Keanu Reeves' like popularity, but it just kind of went under the radar because it was kind of a weird movie, kind of sci-fi and stuff. But yeah, Rollins plays like this nerdy like. I think he's like a tech inventor, kind of like scientist guy. So it's kind of weird because he's still ripped, right? He's still this burly dude. Like he's just this big old Arnold Schwarzenegger looking guy. But he's got glasses and he's just kind of like playing him as this dork, you know. And it's kind of funny. But that's a cool movie. Yeah, like they would download all the information into his head basically, and that he had like so people trying to kill him because he was storing this information. I don't remember if it was government or what. It was probably like 92, 93.
Is he Keanu Reeves' head? Or
Keanu Reeves. Okay. Yeah, sorry, it's Keanu Reeves. Yeah, he was the main. He played Johnny Mnemonic. And he wasn't a robot, but he had like machine elements to his body or something to where they could download stuff. Like he had a computer in his head or something. I forgot exactly what it was, but it's kind of a trip. You should watch it.
Okay, yeah. That sounds fun.
Yeah. If anything, just to see that weird little Henry Rollins, and he's barely in it, maybe like a 10-minute role or something, but yeah, so... But yeah, so like I said, the early 80s stuff, you probably got a lot more knowledge than me on that because I don't really spend a lot of time there other than certain bands that I really like from that era. But I'm more like 90s skate punk. That's my favorite. Like there's no genre for me that's better than that. So
I think with Black Flag, the early stuff is just, I just covet it. I covet it so much. But like I said, I'm always trying to find something else I could.
And you're saying early, like pre-Henry Rollins.
Yeah, like I love all
which is
stuff.
No full lengths, right? It's only like records
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah, they're all just little short albums.
Yeah.
But I love something about each one of those guys. They all had something cool. Keith and Dez. I really like Dez.
Yeah.
Like I know. I was thinking of some tracks we've done lately. I just want to. I think of him as something I want to channel sometimes.
Okay.
But you gotta kind of warm up for that one.
Yeah.
You gotta warm up for it. It's quite a yell.
Now, do you and your bandmates, do you guys kind of see eye to eye in that kind of stuff, or is it, like, do you guys mesh well with your creativity?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone in the band likes so many different things, which is cool. Mm-hmm. But I think we all kind of, at least between me and the guitar player, we're just trying to stick in that realm of like the stuff we do like. But we like so much stuff. We could probably be 10, 12 different types of bands, but we would probably have to change the name.
Right.
To not get lost in the sauce, we would just have 12 bands and none of them going anywhere.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what would happen. I feel like I've done versions of that.
And are you out of both bands you're in, are you the only one that's in both? Or just some of the other band members in both as well?
Oh, like as shared members, I guess is what you're saying?
Right, like within the two bands.
No shared members. That is by design.
Okay.
That is by design.
Okay.
It's sort of like, and I love all those guys so much, but as far as that goes, I think it's just, I'll just say it's me. I'll say it's me, not them, but it's just like self-preservation, with any and everyone else. If you want to hang out with them, just hit them up. They probably want to hang out,
right?
It's like,
and the creative flow is probably different in each band too, I would imagine.
Yeah, total different things. Like, with the Long Straw, I'm just kind of the assistant drummer and the guy dresses up like something at least.
Okay. Do you prefer drums over? You said you play guitar and sing in the other one. Is that what you said?
But bass and sing.
Bass and sing. Do you prefer one over the other, or?
Well, I think drums I'm most comfortable with.
Okay.
But I think I just get a lot more out of the other project.
Okay.
It's just a lot more stage. A ton more stage. I'm up there and, turn around, shake my butt or whatever. And, just kind of...
You're more in the front of it.
Correct. And I like that. I relish it. I truly do. And
you like performing.
Yeah, I like all that. And it's a lot of fun. But I also love playing drums. It's probably my real core favorite instrument in that respect.
Was that the first one you learned?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like 15.
Okay.
So
yeah.
But I like wearing different kinds of hats. So it's like that one's nice because it's like the one I just play drums in. It kind of lives a little rent free after that. I just kind of like set it there and hope it's there to come back. Where like with Horsewater, a lot more stage, and I feel it's just like something. It's kind of. I feel like it doesn't live as rent free. I want it to, always thinking about what else it needs, what else can go forward with it, and I think that's just kind of the different roles band members do and or should play, depending on their role in the band.
Okay. Yeah. So that's fun. See, like I've always, that's like one of my, I could call it a regret and also like still a fantasy in a sense. Like I'll still be driving down the street and like singing along, like, and in my head, I'm on stage, right? You know what I'm saying? Or like in the shower, I'm on stage. I'm like, I love it. And I think, and I had the opportunity when I was living in San Diego in the I was like 96, 97. And everybody down there was in a band. Like everybody. The scene was huge down there. I mean, that was kind of at the height of a lot of those popular San Diego bands. Like it was when Blink-182 was coming out.
I was just going to say.
Like Unwritten Law. And
I guess I don't want to dox you, I guess, but maybe.
Yeah.
How old were you at that time?
So I graduated in 96, so I would have been 18 or 19.
Oh, wow. So,
so I was
what
still
a time
young.
then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, big time. And the only reason I ended up down there is because Bethany lived in Napoma when I met her. And then her parents, she was only 15, her parents moved to San Diego. And I was like, oh, we broke it off. We weren't going to try to we'd only been together like a month at the time. We're like, we're not going to try this long distance thing after a month. You got to be kidding me. And that didn't last long. We're like, we want to try to work it out or whatever. So I was going down there to visit all the time, which was getting crazy. I was taking the train, I was driving, and it just got too much. And we're like, oh, maybe I'll just move down there. Because it was a town called Ramona. I don't know if you're familiar with San Diego area. Yeah. It's like up on a hill. I mean, it's technically San Diego County, but it's not San Diego City, right? It's like a little farmer town up on a hill somewhere, and I ended up living there for like 8 months. And that's actually where I got a lot of the bands. Like, I had never heard Descendants before that. I worked with a guy at Little Caesars who showed me Descendants. He showed me 15, which I told you is my favorite band of all time. A bunch of those bands I didn't even know of before that. But he was in a band. This other guy I worked with was in a band. All these guys were in bands. Everybody's in a band. And this one guy, he's like, oh yeah, our vocalist is he's leaving. Like, he's done. And he goes, Ryan, you should sing. And I'm like, the part of me is like, oh yeah, I want to, let's do it, But then my fear kept me from doing it. And it's one of those regrets where I go, oh man, dude, I could have even if I could just have had one of those little 4-song demo tapes, because that was big over there. Like, I still have a bunch of them, like the cassette tapes of like these local bands that just had, just set up like a 8-track machine or whatever and just record it in their garage, just to have that and be like, oh, there's me, I was singing right there in those 4 songs, but it's a regret. So it's like, dang it, but I can still live in my head, right? And pretend like I'm on stage.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I guess all that to say, like, I get it, like what you're saying, like the enjoyment of performing and doing that has just got to be so much fun. Like, it's got to be a blast. Especially if you're getting a good response from the audience, right? Like if they're really digging it, that's like, oh, they love it, Yeah, it's just so cool, I guess the flip side of that would be to go up there and perform and everybody thinks you suck, So
yeah, exactly. It's not a guarantee, and
right.
that's the fun of it, It's not just go up there and everyone's like, yay, happy. It's not always that, but that's part of it.
Yeah,
it's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah, they're very cool. All right, man. So let's round out the music here with. I know I kind of already asked you this, but I'm going to ask you to do something really hard. Okay, so I want you to try just to list top 5 bands of all time, or artists, or whatever. Oh, it can be more than 5, but try to keep it around 5. And I know this is difficult, so I apologize.
No, you're fine. We'll start. We'll get the Beatles and the Meat Puppets right off the fly.
Okay.
They can't not be on there. Okay, 5. I think Lou Reed needs to be up there.
Okay.
He's obviously ultimately Velvet Underground. That's that one. I'm gonna go with Iggy Pop.
Okay. So you and Sylvia share that then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I know we're running out, but yeah, I'm gonna go then round it out with David Bowie, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another one that, so is this what, okay, this side question now. Yeah. Is this what connected you and Sylvia to begin with? Was it like your love of the same kind of music and stuff?
I think that probably, I would say so. That was probably like a big first kind of thing, realized that we were big Beatles fans, so it was nice. That was to know that about each other, that first connection. So,
because there's a lot of like David Bowie and Iggy Pop songs, because I know the names. I know David Bowie from Labyrinth, right? But when you start talking about like the Ziggy Stardust and that kind of stuff, I had no knowledge of that at all until Sylvia was telling me about it. And then I would YouTube it and I would listen to it then. So there's a bunch of these like Iggy Pop and David Bowie songs that I never even heard until she told me to listen to it.
Oh,
do you know what I'm saying? Like, or she would mention it and I'd be at work and I'd be like, oh, I'll just, that's the beauty of our phones. Oh, YouTube, or because I don't do Spotify. I go on YouTube and be like, oh, cool, So anyway, so that's kind of cool that you guys, because me and my wife, we don't agree on most music, so we're very, very different in our styles.
I definitely have my stuff that I know she doesn't like as much, so it's like Like, for example, like I really will play the Chumbawamba when she's not gone. When she's gone.
Like, because you like it?
I really like Chumbawamba.
Okay.
I am not joking. That
like
is
the
not
whole band
a joke.
or just that song?
I like the albums of them.
Okay.
Like multiple albums.
So you've listened to other... Okay, you might be the only guy in the world that's listened to...
I think so. This, like, I swear, like, I was having trouble with a song coming on, Spotify,
right.
and I wanted to put a post one day. I was going to put a post and say, like, I can't get my Chumbawamba up. There's like 4 people in the entire world that are pissed off right now. Like, no one cares, but they really are good. They're a fun little...
well, everybody loves that song, whether they say it or not. At least that one song. You're at a party, that song comes on, that's a good one, right? I mean, it's just like those other songs, like the ones that they do the dances to, like the Cha-Cha One Time, and whatever those dance songs are.
Yeah.
But nobody knows any of their other music that's on their albums.
Or can name any of their other records, like Pictures of Starving Children Sell Records, Never Mind the Ballads, Shh.
Is this
Slap,
Chumbawamba?
Yeah, Slap, Anarchy, Swing with Raymond, like they're all great. And like I haven't even gotten past 97. And I'm still just like lost in the 90s with them.
Wow.
With like a bunch of records, and they went till 2012. I guess they got a lot more folkier.
Yeah.
But that was always kind of part of the thing. Like, especially in the 90s, they had all this weird stuff going. Like by 92, there'd be like accordion on the track, and then there'd be like some kind of loop sample on it.
Yeah.
They were doing some weird stuff.
Okay.
Like, so.
Well, you must have kept them going, dude. You're the only one buying their albums.
Yeah, I guess so. I really am. The last in the spot.
That's so funny, dude. I would have never guessed in a million years you would have said that one. That's just one of those, like, I bet you I could poll. I'm going to start asking every guest I have on here. I'm going to be like, can you name any Chumbawamba song besides Tub Thumping? And they're going to be like, no. And I'll be like, there was this one guy I had on here. He could do it.
No.
He's a legend.
No.
All right. So real quick then, well, maybe not real quick. Can you now give me, this might get even harder, give me 2 or 3 favorite songs from each of these, starting with the Beatles.
Okay, the Beatles, 2 or 3 favorite.
Yeah. And again, you can go 4 or 5 if it's easier for you.
Yeah, I don't know, like I'm the Walrus for the one Beatles song. That's just if you want like an opus, a psychedelia.
Yeah, that's a weird one for sure.
Helter Skelter from the Beatles. Was, their foray into just being loud.
Yeah.
And then
you like the lore surrounded with that song too, like with the
that stuff's
Charles
fun.
Manson
Yeah,
stuff and all that. Okay.
And then maybe like In My Life.
That's a good one.
Just real like.
Yeah.
Real like just nostalgic.
Yeah, that's a chilling song.
Yeah,
I've heard that song played at so many weddings.
Yeah, it's just one of those songs like oh man, really, I don't know, really good. It's hard to kind of explain.
Right, it gives you the feels for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's 3. You got any more? That's enough.
Gosh, I could probably keep going.
Give me 2 more Beatles because their catalog is so huge.
Okay, yeah. What's another Beatles? I would say, I Want to Hold Your Hand. That's like it's just one of those weird classic breakthrough like second wave rock songs.
Right.
Right. And another one will be maybe like Tomorrow Never Knows.
Oh,
that's another one that's just really cool and out there, kind of early psychedelia.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Meat Puppets.
I like Lost so much. I don't know what it is.
That's a song?
Yeah,
right?
song Lost.
Okay.
It's that second record is just so much to love on it.
I haven't heard a whole lot of them. I have to check them out.
Yeah, it's
they're the ones that Nirvana covered a bunch of their songs right on there.
They did like 3 songs off that record.
On the Unplugged
and
album.
All those and those songs are all great.
Okay.
Like Plateau.
Yeah.
Lake of Fire.
Yes, that's right. Yep. Those are the ones I know.
Yeah, it's like let's see. Gosh, I like so many of theirs. I think of any other ones right now.
I know it's hard. I'm putting you on the spot.
You're fine. This is what we're here for.
Yeah.
Man, that whole second record is just great.
Okay, what's the name of the second record?
I think it's called 2.
2. Okay, hey, that's fitting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, we got a second album come out. What should we call it? How about 2? Okay.
Just like Zeppelin.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, all right. Lou Reed / Velvet Underground. You can mix those two together.
Man, it's and that could just go on and on.
Yeah.
I love so many of their songs. Like even the one I have, Lou Reed song I have stuck in my head right now is "I Can't Stand It," and that's like one of those like. Wasn't even on an official record. It comes off the Another View record, which is just a collection of songs.
Yeah.
Which just the other day I realized is my favorite Velvet Underground record.
Okay.
Because the wife was asking, I was like, yeah, I guess this is my favorite record. It's like not even an actual record. It's just a bunch of songs that were never put on the record. Obviously, like Heroin by him. I'm Waiting for the Man is huge.
Okay.
I love a lot of solo stuff down to even like Coney Island Baby. Lady Day is good. Even though that album's kind of a bore, Berlin's kind of oof.
Yeah.
It's just a hard record to listen to. It's one of those records like I try to listen to every couple of years, and every year I listen to it, I just don't like it.
Okay.
You know? But yeah, his first album's cool. It's neat, you know. Second record's obviously it's fantastic. It's Satellite of Love and stuff on it. It's lots of love. Perfect Day is an awesome song. So.
Okay. That's a band that's been in the back of my radar for a while now, and it's actually because of I think I've probably only heard maybe 3 or 4 actual Velvet Underground songs, but I've heard lots of covers of their songs. I'm a big REM fan, and they covered quite a few of their songs. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. And I was like, oh, it's a cover. Oh, who's it by? Oh, Velvet Underground. And then there was a couple other bands, the punk band Face to Face. They did a cover. I forgot what song it was. They covered a Velvet Underground song. So there's been a lot of other bands that I like that have covered these songs, and I started thinking, man, this is a really unique sounding group. Like I have to check out some of their stuff. So they're on my list to go back to the beginning, start as early as I can, because that's what I do. I like to start as early as I can. If I can find an old demo tape that's before any major release and start there, that's what I do.
There's like a Peel Slowly and See box set that kind of speaks to that.
Okay, cool.
There's like the first demo was like 65. I still think about that. I'm just like, that's really good stuff. That's the first steps.
So, see, and that's what I like about it. I like to hear the progression and the changes and how they improve and they mature as a band. I love listening to that. Like, and if I can go back as far as I can, you know, especially if I'm starting with a new band, especially a band like that's obviously very popular. It was in the heyday, and you know, and the fact that I haven't heard that much of it, it's like, oh, cool, man, big catalog. I can start at the beginning and go through. You know,
there's a lot there. Nico's first album, Chelsea Girls, is a great record.
Okay,
the other stuff down the line, the other records are cool. You really got to be in that mood for it. I feel like her other records like really just hit that. You know, hypnotic marble index.
Who's this we're talking about?
Nico from Velvet Underground. She's also
it's a girl.
Yeah, she's part of the first record. But there's a lot of different ways you can go. Then it's John Cale, the bass player. He has a good first solo record.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just remembered something I was going to ask you back when we were on X. Did you have you ever seen John Doe as an actor?
Yeah.
He's been in some stuff.
Yeah, I saw this really crappy punk film the other day. I don't even think I'd recommend it. Okay. You know, it's one of those like
a documentary, or is it like
a Border Radio?
Okay, that's the name of it.
Yeah, it's one of those like I always just Google random stuff like and just see what shows up, like cowpunk movie. You know, just see what shows up, you know, and that was one of those, like, you know, you click a little things, and sometimes that's just the wrong search, and sometimes you're like, okay, you know, it's like John Doe is in it, and like the singer from the Flesh Eaters is in it, and the guys from the Blasters are in it, but
it's like a low budget kind of.
Yeah, it's not a good movie.
Did you ever see the TV show Roswell?
No.
Back in the late 90s, maybe it came out. He plays the main character's dad in that.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's like not a main character, but he's a recurring character. Like he's throughout the whole show. And I remember learning that he was in X, and I was like, no way! Like, you know, because I didn't really, you know, it was kind of funny.
Check that out.
Yeah. I was just gonna say something else. You were talking about punk movies. Oh, you said cowpunk.
Cowpunk.
Do you like cowpunk?
I do.
Okay.
It's another word that like no one cares about. Like Chumbawamba. It's like they like it'd rather just like change the subject. You know.
The only time I've ever heard the term is with the Vandals.
Oh, yeah, that's
they started that way, kind of like some of their early stuff.
Absolutely.
And I don't like it as much, though. I like it better, like probably from like the Quickening on when they got
Dave Quackenbush era.
Yeah.
I love it both. It just as much. I love the Quickening. That stuff is just awesome. Like,
it's fantastic.
It's a fact, and just like,
it's a fact. Yeah.
Josh Freese.
Yeah.
That guy. He's one of the best.
He's got to be the record for drumming in more bands than any other drummer in the history of the world. It's like everybody. It's like, who's the drummer on this record? Josh Freese. What?
And it's like always some band I like or respect or think is cool. Like every time it's like, what the heck?
He's sought after for sure. Yeah.
It's like an Ansley Dunbar thing to me. And he's kind of a guy who kept doing another record, and it'd be still weirdly kind of good. He just kept changing bands every record or two.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so getting back to, since I took us on 3 tangents there, Iggy Pop. Are you going to go straight up Iggy Pop, or are you going to go with some of the Stooges stuff? Or
I don't know. Does it matter? Is there a preference? Okay.
Doesn't matter, man.
Well, so with the Stooges, gosh, all this stuff is so good from the first record to the outtakes at the end. Obviously, like the first record, like I Want to Be Your Doll's classic. That's like the beginning of introduction to Iggy, and then Funhouse. I think is just really like the best album as the Stooges. And then Raw Powers is awesome. I love that record. Really high up there.
I think those are the only 2 I've ever heard.
They're great. You should listen to the first one. There's some good stuff in there. There's only like one song you need to skip, and then you're good.
Because it's terrible. What's the song?
It's terrible. It's called We Must Fall Asleep or something. I can't remember. We must skip the song. I forget the heck it's called. It's just like total filler. Like it's like I forget, but it's just like this boom, 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 like seance, like BS. I'm just not into it. It's definitely easy. Like skip, you're good. Just keep on, carry on. Like,
does it seem out of place on the album?
I think it's out of place. I really think it's out of place. I really think it's one of those moments like they did not have enough time to make a record, and they did not have a good filler song. And sometimes people just have what it takes to have a good filler song. It's like Black Sabbath. They say they wrote Paranoid as a filler song.
And how funny!
And that's like one of their biggest songs. It was like taka 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 taka. I could see that being made up on the spot,
That's always fascinating to me. Some of the most popular songs are ones that the band didn't even like. Like, we didn't even like that song. We just wrote it in 5 minutes, and we thought it was terrible, and then next thing you know, it's like their number 1 hit of all time. And they have to travel the world playing it all the time. They're like, we hate this song. It sucks.
I know. Extreme, all that stuff.
Right. It's like, oh my gosh.
Buys you a house, the song you hate.
Right, exactly. Right? It's like you can't complain about it too much.
I know.
You're living in a mansion. You're set up for the rest of your life. And how about David Bowie? I know that's David a vast catalog too.
No, that's Life on Mars is a great track. Space Oddity, super cool song. I like Rebel. I like Young Americans is a really fun song. I love like that. Recording in Germany, Heroes record stuff, the collaboration with Robert Fripp and Brian Eno. I like, even, Diamond Dog stuff.
Okay. So all of it, like you.
I start dipping off after like Let's Dance. I'll admit there's not like. Even like a little bit before that, like Scary Monsters, it's all right. But the 70s stuff, I'm pretty locked in on. That stuff.
Starts to sound too 80s-ish maybe in the later on.
And I just that music, I do like Let's Dance, but like past that, it's like I don't really care for that too much. It's not really me. Dance, I guess Dance Magic Dance is fine. It's fine. But I like the 70s stuff really.
All right, man. Now, lastly, you're gonna mesmerize all of us by listing some songs that aren't tub thumping by Chumbawamba.
Oh, Chumbawamba. Okay. What's it like? What's a good one from them? Enough is Enough is a really good one.
All right. I'm definitely going to listen to these two, by the way. So give me some good ones.
I know, there's one I like, but there's a bad word in it. And so I don't know.
The title?
Yeah. It's just like mouthful of SHIT.
Oh,
Can I
okay.
spell it? I don't know if I can spell it. That
you're
way
good.
they can look it up.
Yes.
You know, like,
you're good.
oh gosh, what's another one? The song called Your Houses.
That's the name of the
it's
song?
Like, oh, yeah. What's another one?
Oh, this is crazy.
Gosh, I Never Gave Up. That's like a song. And like these songs, all these crazy stories. Like I Never Gave Up was like about like a song of like being in like a Nazi camp and stuff.
Oh, wow.
They have songs about like Tiananmen Square.
Is that like serious songs?
Yeah, so like what's fun with them, I listen to them and like I do like this whole history thing, you know, like this songs like Ulrich, you know, and Mine Off, and then I gotta look into all this stuff like, whoa, there was some crazy ladies, you know, doing you know, robbing banks for in the name of communism.
Right.
And you know, I don't agree with that. I'm not a communist or agree with any of that stuff, but they were shining this light on this kind of the craziness, and I don't know, I think there's something neat about it, even though it's like don't necessarily agree with all those things. But that energy of like, you know, like I don't know, fighting back, and that every voice is kind of important. I think there's something said about that.
Yeah. Where are they from, that band?
They're from Britain.
They're British, okay.
They used to like live in the squats with Crass when those guys were moving out.
Oh, no way.
So that was like their problem. They were like they were the roommates coming in when everyone was leaving.
Yeah.
You know, they were getting there around like 82 or so. So it was just like their first records were coming out when all their, you know, peers have already changed genres already.
Right.
You know, they're already like Flux of Pink Indians are like getting all like, oh, we're getting kind of like dancey, earthy. They're like, okay, that's cool. You know, and people like Discharge are like, you know, getting a little more metal or what have you. You know.
So when you listen to Tub Thumping, is that song sound totally different than the rest of their songs? Or is it a similar sound?
It sounds different.
Okay.
You know, and it kind of, like I said, I'm not a big fan necessarily of that record or that song.
Mm-hmm.
I think I do know how to play it, but that's just one of those things. It's easy to learn.
Yeah.
Easy to forget.
Well, you never know when you want to bust it out at a show.
Oh, yeah.
And get the crowd going, you know?
Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't do it in that setting, but like I definitely could freak out friends with an acoustic guitar. Just
there you go.
Kind of break up a moment, you know? Like, what the heck is that? It's not just like,
that's awesome.
I get knocked down, you know?
Yeah.
There's always some kind of meaning behind all these different songs and stuff. But
for the longest time, people thought that was a drinking song. Like, I get knocked down, but I get up again, as if you're getting so smashed, you're passing out.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah, no, it's,
right?
This song's about really important things about like mining strikes and stuff. And it's I think they're definitely one of the most like just underrated bands.
Well, and politically charged. It's kind of funny. It's like, you know what my favorite politically charged band, Chumbawamba.
Yeah, it's like,
be like, what?
Yeah, I remember like it's all like there's all ton of history to a ton of it. It's weird. It's cool. I had me reading a lot, and then I was reading about genocide for weeks and days from then. But and
this is all from listening to Chumbawamba.
Yeah, a lot.
That's
it's
crazy.
Dude. Yeah, or you know, some other ones will be other bands. You know, like another guy like is Blaze Foley, Big Jump. Blaze Foley is like folk singer songwriter.
I don't think I heard of him.
And he wrote a song called Springtime in Uganda. And then he talks about like Idi Amin and kind of like all the stuff's going on there, all the cannibalism and stuff. And that sent me down another path of like, oh, I gotta learn about now.
Yeah. You know? So do you like that kind of music that has a message and that
I do. I like all kinds. I love music with no message too, you know.
Because some people hate that kind of music.
Yeah, no.
Like it's too preachy.
Oh,
Stop being
absolutely.
so preachy.
Oh, absolutely. And that's not what people want, you know. And like, I definitely could not just listen to that music. That would be insane.
Right.
You know what I mean? That sounds like a task, you know? Like,
you gotta have fun sometimes.
Yeah, you gotta have, I think, everything in between. You gotta have your, Louie Louie's song.
Yeah.
Like, literally freaking nothing. There's nothing there. Like, you couldn't try to convince me that it's about something. Right. And that's fine. And there's a beauty in that. And then there's other songs that, like, have some meaning. And then they got these other songs that are, like, it's like a whole story behind it. So I think there's a beauty in each kind of thing you can have.
Yeah, and I like both too. I'm with you on that. I mean, I love songs with a message. And have you heard Propagandhi?
Yes.
So that's like a punk band, but they're very. I mean, I don't think they've ever done well. Maybe Ska Sucks. is like the one like funny song they've ever done. But like every other song is like this in your face. Here's what you need to believe. If you don't, you're wrong. You know, and this is the way it is. If you eat meat, you're a murderer. And it's like they're just so in your face. And I love that about them. You know, and even though I don't necessarily agree with everything they say, I like that they're doing that. I like that they're just like, look, the point of our band is to tell you what we think and why, and hopefully to convert you over. Yeah. I like that's pretty cool, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, awesome. All right, man. So this is where we get into it now. Okay. So, you know.
All right.
Do you
real serious
That's
stuff.
Right. It's on now. Do you think about politics? Do you consider yourself political, or do you kind of like back off and stay away from it, or like where are you at with all that?
I think I consider myself political.
Okay. Okay. And you said you kind of lean left, central left, you said?
Yeah, I'd say like central left.
Okay. Okay. So that means you're probably a big Donald Trump fan.
Oh, yeah, the biggest. No one is a bigger fan of Donald Trump than me ever.
Except maybe your wife.
Don't Google it. Don't Google it. I feel like I think that's been like my little thing with like that energy lately, and I've said it on stage and with people too. Just say some wild comment and like, this is totally not true. Like this and this is like, don't Google it. It's kind of like, because I feel like that's kind of a lot of his like underlying. Sure. I'm the best president ever. Yeah. I'm 7 feet tall and like I can lift a house.
Yeah. You know, but don't look it up.
Don't look it up. Like okay, just accept it as fact.
So would you, like, percentage wise, I guess I'll put it that way, percentage wise, do you see Trump as 100% bad as far as president of the country, or do you see any good aspects at all?
Gosh, it's just like, this is so bad, but it's like, I don't know, on the adverse, it's sort of like, what is 100% bad? What is the other option? What is that other thing?
Well, I guess what I'm saying, like, is there anything within either one of his presidencies, the first one full and this one, not even in the middle of, really, it's early on still, that you would say, oh, I think that's awesome he did that, or I'm glad he did that, or I think that was a good choice there, or anything like that? Or is it just everything the guy does is garbage?
I don't know. Yeah, it feels like that, but it's like, I don't know. It's like,
okay.
You know, I gave us money at some point, you know, so that was like, I think that was like, I joked around, the wife, she didn't like that. I was like, oh, it's Uncle. I call him Uncle Trump. Like, it's like, hey, you don't have to, you don't have to like your uncle, but if he gives you something on Christmas, he's your uncle.
You're not going to take it back.
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
Not your uncle anymore. You could disagree with him as much as you want. He's still your uncle.
Well, and that's always, right? Like, even when Biden did the stimulus checks, right? It wasn't like Republicans were like, I'm not taking that. No, we were like, take me to the bank. You know, it's $2,500. I'll take it. Because otherwise, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
Go find a left-leaning friend and be like, here you go. You know? Yeah. So, I mean, like, so I guess, like, what's some of well, let me ask you this first. So, like, do you, given the alternatives in this last voting between him and Harris, do you think we'd be better off with Harris?
You know, I was really... You know, I just did, you know, I think so. I'd like to think so. Like, for me, I was one of those people that was like, you know, all in for Biden, so to speak, in that respect, leading up to stuff. And then the debate happened, and I watched the debate. And
the debate between Trump and Biden? Yeah. Okay.
And from that debate, I was just like, whoa, dude, like Trump's insane, but like Biden's like checked out. Right. You know what I mean? So it just was like, whew.
So it's kind of sad, really.
So,
he's got this old man up there.
There was that, absolutely. Yeah. So like for me, that kind of, from that point, I became quite Kennedy curious at that point. I was very Kennedy curious. Yeah. Because it's like...
I think a lot of people were.
Like, that's what turned me out like, oh.
Because he was a third choice that wasn't either one of those two people.
Correct. So, well, he's not Trump. It's not them. There's no one else. Like, the worst are even worse, you know? Just keep going. So I was like, well... And I knew even then he was insane. Like, guy's literally crazy. But, I don't know. He's not Trump. He's not Biden. I thought that was neat. And then...
Do you think... Okay, so, but like, looking at RFK now that Trump's put him in that position, do you like anything he's saying now about like taking on Big Pharma or anything like that?
Yeah, I think he has some good ideas in there. Yeah, trying to take on Big Pharma. I think that's good.
Because I think we all agree Big Pharma needs to be gone.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we're all in agreement there.
Yeah, and I think he's in that boat. So just having that at all, I think, is important.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think he has, he has some wild ideas, but I think he has some good normal ideas that like people shouldn't just be on medicine all the time.
Yeah.
It's just
right.
So,
well, dude, I have personal stories. In fact, I just got back from a trip where I was visiting family, and my family member's been having medical issues, and they've got them on like a couple different medications for the medical issue, and the medical issue is still staying, right? It's coming and going, it's still coming and going. Well, she made the decision to get off one of the meds, and it started going away, dude. So, and like I have lots of stories like that of people I know personally that are like, yeah, they gave me these drugs that's supposed to counter this specific condition, but it's not, it's sometimes making it worse. And I'm like, no, this drug is supposed to make it go away or fix it, right? So that's crazy to me.
No, and there's just so much of the side effects stuff too that you hear. It's just like, it's insane. It's like, like just to like, if people dealing with eczema, they have to take medicine that can like jeopardize their perineum.
Right.
And like, that's horrible. That's horrible. Like that is like, a nightmare to me. That's really a nightmare.
Well, that's what's funny about the commercials, right? For these drugs, it's like here's a whatever, like a antidepressant, and some side effects are suicidal thoughts, and like I'm like, wait a minute, this is supposed to fix the suicide, not make it worse.
And I get it. It's not like it's not everyone. I get it. I can't
true.
be like it does that, all that, but it's like for what's on the line and how much you got to pay. It's just like I'm definitely of a thought of like medicine is evil kind of person. It's like even like don't take it if you have to. Like,
right, and I'm with you. And I mean I don't think necessarily all medicine is evil. I think the people pushing the medicine are evil, a lot of them anyway, and their greediness, their money hungriness, and like all that. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but when I start looking into some of that stuff in Big Pharma, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like when the people tell stories about it, they've had the cure for cancer for 30 years now, but Big Pharma keeps not letting them get it out because they want money for the chemo and for the radiation treatments. They're getting a lot of money off that stuff, you know? So I think there are, thankfully, some people within that community that are still good-natured people that do care about us. I mean, the doctors I've been to seem to be that way. But a big part of it is that I tell them right off the bat, look, I don't do medication. Unless you tell me, Ryan, you need this or you will die, I'm not taking it, right? Like, because it's got to be a life or death for me. If it's like, well, this might make your symptoms a little better, but it could also cause your head to swell up 3 times the size. Exactly. It's like, I'm not risking it, you know? It's just not worth it to me. So,
Could have a little bit of that, what do I say, DNR energy to it. You know? Do not resuscitate.
Oh, okay.
Just a little bit of that. Like,
I was about to ask you what that meant.
Oh, okay. I know. So I say all these
sounds
things,
like an 80s punk.
All these terms, but I just make them up. Acting like people are supposed to know them. Dang it.
So I mean, I am personally, I guess let me put out there where I'm at. So I don't try to. I try not to like be on party lines too much. Like, oh, I'm always Republican or I'm always Democrat, or I do tend to lean right when it comes to issues and things like that. But if a Democrat ran and I liked what he had to say or she had to say more than the Republican candidate, I'm voting Democrat. Like I have no problem with that, you know. But when I looked at Harris versus Trump, I mean, I didn't really love either option, to be honest with you. I mean, if we could have had someone else in the Republican slot, it probably would have been better, in my opinion. But given those two, to me, it was a no-brainer. I just don't even, like, Kamala was just, I mean, I don't even know what she knew. Like, but I think that a big part of, and you can maybe fill me on this since you're kind of on that other side of it, like when you think about Trump, is it more like personal stuff that you don't like about him, or is it more like his policies that he's putting in a place that you don't like?
It's probably like a little bit of both.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to backtrack too, but back to kind of what you said right now. It's like I feel the same way about like if there would have been someone else on the other side, like I'd be fine voting for Republican if it just had someone over there. To be honest, I am generally looking over there, especially when they're like dwindling down your fighters. You know what I mean, so to speak.
Right,
I'm always looking for the like which one I would vote for, like on that side. You know? And there's always something I've always tried to like. I can't like. You know, obviously, I would know I have a certain set point of view if I can't accept any of them. But for me, it'd be like Chris Christie.
Okay.
That's kind of where I was at.
You liked him?
Yeah, that's what I was like, he ain't gonna make it. You know what I mean? But you know that's I always have this little bit of like if you had to vote for it. If one of these characters, and obviously I like Haley. I like Nikki Haley.
Okay.
You know, I thought she would have been cool. That was like the other one that like I'd be like, let's go, come on, Nikki Haley, like do it, like that's fine. Like I would have liked her more than Kamala.
Sure.
Yeah, I think she's more experienced.
I think everybody would, and I think if everybody's honest, nobody likes her. I'm sorry.
She wasn't set up right. It's just like a mystery vice president.
Oh yeah.
She didn't really have much to show the people,
Correct.
You know, so I think that was kind of a tough one when they first, threw her in there. I didn't know who she was, and so I don't know.
But she wasn't Trump, right? So that was the big factor for a lot of people. It's like, it could have been a bag of dog crap running against Trump. I'm voting for the dog crap, right? Because the hatred for Trump is so strong, right? And at least it was in the second election, right, when he lost to Biden. I think after that first 4 years, so many people were so anti-Trump that because Biden wasn't an ideal candidate either. No. But again, he wasn't Trump, so they're like, anybody that's not Trump, let's get this old guy in there. Yeah. And he was much more cognizant when he won the presidency than he was towards the end. I mean, he went downhill fast, right? Yeah. So I wonder sometimes, and it seems like the second, this last election between him and Harris, it seemed like there was a shift in the country to where maybe it was the reverse effect now. It was like, we've had 4 years of Biden. We don't really love this Trump guy's character. I mean, he's sleeping with porn stars. He's doing there's a lot of his stuff in his personal life is shady, even from conservative people, on the right like me. That I'm like, I don't really like him as a person. But I think we were kind of looking at more like, what's it going to do for our life? Like, how's it going to affect whether or not the president sleeps with porn stars, that doesn't really affect my personal life at all. Yeah. Even if he says things that are mean, or he says things that seem misogynistic or racist even, which I don't think he says that, but that's another conversation. But even if he did, I could sit there and say, I don't agree with his racist statements, but I can still separate that from whether or not that's going to affect my life, to where I feel like people on the other side are not really able to do that. And I've had people on the show where they're like, I just can't do it. He could be doing the greatest things for this country, but he's a racist, misogynistic, homophobe, and I want him. I can't stand him, right? That kind of thing. So it's interesting to me. But the shift was interesting with Harris. That it seems like a lot of America, even like some of the minority groups that were very much on Team Biden back the first time, were all of a sudden switching over to Team Trump. Yeah, it's like, well, that's interesting. You know, like they said, he had the highest African American voters than any Republican candidate in like a long time. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I believe it. So it's like, it's just definitely a lot of the last term of like the working class feeling basically like completely abandoned by the Democratic Party. Yeah. You know, just kind of just feeling that way. Like, they're out there saying that they're like for the working class and middle class, but ultimately didn't feel like that's what was being done. Right. They get on the microphone, they say that they're helping you, but the actions don't exactly help that. And that's you could say whatever you want on a mic in that respect, so your words don't mean anything if that's what's going on. Like, we gold and candy for everyone. Then what does it mean anything? You know, like you could say we're going to fight, but if there's no results,
who cares?
What is that? Right. And you're like, what? And I think that's a big. Like this whole identity crisis with the Democratic Party right now. They don't know what they even are or they're fighting for, you know? Yeah. So it's like, that, that doesn't give the voters any confidence,
right?
And,
right. Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of what's happening right now with that. And it's like, well, disagreeing that or not, like they're out there just at least, they've got traction and they're doing it. Right. And that's kind of, I think America's been wanting some traction, some direction to help itself either way. With something, whether they agree with it or not, whatever that policy is make it go through and see if it bites us. And
right.
I think that's I think America's a little bit ready for that now.
Yes.
Like let's just make it happen. And if it does bite us in the butt, then hopefully we'll fix that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
right.
we're doing this thing, hopefully the best intentions. That's kind of like the whole thing. They're saying this, like hoping that it'll make things better. And if and when it doesn't work, I hope and pray that they will unsign that thing or whatever the heck that is. Like, oh, right, that didn't work. It's screwing people over. Everyone's mad. Right. Everyone's on fire. I'm sorry, but at least it's something's being done or tried. And I think there's a little bit of that. That I don't know. I don't know how the kids talk. Red pill, blue pill, red pill, blah blah blah. But maybe it's just the whole poop or get off the pot energy. Right. Just do something, man. Like I feel like this. The last administration was just like treading water and just like not adding some of the change we needed. And like I'm not saying we need to tear down every regulation, but it felt like it was just like building more and more regulations. And it's just like it's not helping with our lives, our day to day, And now everyone's questioning if Trump's things are, and they still are, and hopefully. But I'm like, well, we're here now, and I hope I hope it works. I pray that it works, and like,
what if it did? What if 3 years from now, your life is better than it's ever been because of the president? At that point, would you say I'm a Trump supporter?
That's
or would
the
you
thing.
still be like, no?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know.
In other words, what would it take for him to get on your good side to where you would say, I like everything he's done?
That is a good question. Yeah. Gosh, what would that be? I don't know. I feel.
It's a tough one, huh?
That is a tough one. Yeah. Maybe he'd have to just admit he was wrong.
Okay. About what?
Anything.
Oh, okay. You feel like
just
he never
admit
says
that. Like it doesn't matter what it is. Just at this point, I think it'll just admit that whatever that was.
Right.
He doesn't have to grovel or anything. Just I got that wrong. That's my mistake. Just move on. Yeah. I don't need you to get on your knees and cry.
Right.
Just I got that wrong. People get things wrong.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. It's like a marriage where the wife's just like, I just wish once you'd admit you're wrong.
Yeah, that's kind of just saying.
And the husband's like, well, I've never been wrong, so
it's far. It's like you're still in charge. Just chill, dude. I feel like there's just so much it feels like everything seems like a lie. So much lie. Where's the line? Like why is everything the news is just so polarized? Which he didn't do. The news did that.
Sure.
I'm not blaming. I'm not blaming him on that. The news does that for their own monetary gain.
Yeah. Do you trust the news at this point?
It's hard. No, I think not really. And then I channel in some of it, but it's always with a grain of salt. It's it's like Wikipedia. That's very interesting, but you got to remember 40% of it's a lie. You know what I mean? So sometimes even when I say stuff like this, I'll be like, this and that. But here on Wikipedia, so just give me a little leeway on that. If that is But I channel into different things, but. A lot of obviously left wing stuff, but not always mostly the funny stuff, but everything up into there's NPR and stuff and some CNN stuff, but not so much the conservative stuff, but I get a little bit of that from the gym, which I like. The gym's always fun. The gym's so great because you can see the visuals and
the gym to work out.
Working at the gym because then you can see all of them. It's just how everyone's just so
all the TVs you mean
on the same thing. Oh shoot, everyone's what everyone's freaking out on oh the eggs are too expensive, they're too cheap now. The same story is just.
Did you see this recent thing where? And I haven't looked that deep into it, but it looks legit. That Trump posted the picture of him in the Pope gear.
Oh, I haven't looked. Yeah.
It's pretty new. You look it up. And again, I guess it says it came from his own account, and he actually posted it. It's an AI generated image. Yeah. Which when I hear that, I'm like, well, somebody else made it up, which might be true, but he posted it, right?
Yeah.
If he literally posted that. So let's say he did that, okay, which it looks like he did. And now if he came out tomorrow and he's on the news and he told everybody, look, everybody, I was wrong to do that. I shouldn't have done that. The Pope just died, last week or a couple weeks ago, and I shouldn't have done that. That was wrong of me to do that. Would you have some respect for that at that point?
Yeah, I think so, but I think it's like, that's, man, it's such a small thing. Like, that's not even something I'm like.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, that one I don't really even, I'm not worried about that.
So what would he have to apologize? Like, what would he got on TV and he said, I'm really sorry, I was wrong at what?
Like, I don't know. For me, I think if he maybe apologized for accidentally sending Kilmar Abrego Garcia, maybe.
Okay.
I think that could probably be a huge wound kind of healer.
Okay.
It's like
yeah,
because I think that would kind of inspire some confidence on the other side. Like, see, I won't accidentally when I accidentally send my Americans who are actually here legally to a third world country that's totally I fix it. I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's a cool concept versus like when I make huge mistakes like that, it's chill. Or I make up lies saying that he's a gang member now, even though you didn't know who he was like a month ago. And then there's all these stories that go back and forth. So
that's what I was going to ask you. So with that particular story, obviously neither one of us have spent any time around this guy or his family.
Yeah.
We don't know him personally. But when you hear the back and forth going, again, back to the media, how do we trust what we trust? But that is the stories that are coming about. He's an MS-13 member. We have some phone recording of his ex-wife talking about how he's threatening her, beating her up, and all this stuff. And here we are going like, well, is that true? Is it not true? I think the main thing is, right, he wasn't, if I'm understanding correctly, he wasn't an illegal.
Correct.
Is that true?
Yeah,
he was actually here legally.
Yeah, because he was married to an American, and I think that's how he acquired the status. I heard he originally acquired the status because he was evading gang stuff out there. So maybe he does have a gang past, but
he's trying
wants
to get away
from it. You know, so there probably is some validity of like he was a gang member, this and that, and there probably is some validity in that. But he's trying to, get away from that. And if that's not the American dream, I don't know what is. Like, I was living in a third world country. I was doing gang stuff, and I needed to get out of it.
I want a better life.
I want a better, so I left there, married an American, and not doing gang stuff. But who knows? Like I said, maybe there is some story stuff that I might not be privy to. Maybe he kept doing it, but that seems to contradict the story. Right. He left El Salvador to do gang stuff to do more gang. Wait, what?
But if he's a legal citizen. And let's say he's a legal citizen and he's also involved in MS-13, meaning he's committing crimes. Because just being in a gang isn't illegal, right? Yeah. But let's say he's in MS-13 and he's showing that he's murdering people. Let's say he is beating his wife up and his kids, whatever. Let's say all that's true. If he's a legal citizen, you don't deport him to another country, right? You put him in jail.
That's
in America, right? That's what you do for somebody
for the rest of his life.
Right.
If that's where his crimes,
he's breaking the crimes.
if he's breaking, he should. Everyone should face their crimes.
Correct.
And I think that's what it goes back to. It's kind of like the whole due process thing. Like, just give us a chance. It's like I kind of like. Just anything, like just look at the paperwork at least before you just totally ruin someone's life. Give us a little confidence that you'll at least read one sheet of paper about us before you just throw us over there.
Right, Just, what are your thoughts on the deportation in general? Like leaving that particular person out of it. Do you think there should be any deportations at all of people that are here illegally, or do you think it should be open borders? Or
I think anyone who's here legally that's committed a crime should be deported. Okay. And
how bad of a crime though?
Like
they steal a pack of gum? Or it have to be like something more severe than that?
Definitely a felony.
Okay.
Definitely any kind of felony, like no way, you're kicked out of the country forever, never coming back. Okay. And I feel really strongly about that. Because honestly, they shouldn't. If we really did get down to it, there's a bit of me that knows, like, well, you're not even playing by the rules in the first place. You should not be here at all.
Correct.
But I think it is very important to at least look through those that are here illegally that are committing crimes and getting them out of here and not in our prisons. One, like making sure that we're taking care of crime in the first place.
Right.
But if it's also, like, how do you say, not our crime or whatever in that respect, then take their crime that's here and take it back to where it belongs. Like you go back and go crime wherever you're from. You know?
But then the other side of that, someone would say, if you said that, someone might say to you, oh, but it's so much worse over there for them. It's a terrible place to live. Their government's all corrupt and this and that. I mean, what do you say to that?
Well, I'd say tough to see that.
Right.
For me, it's like, it's whatever. Like, you came here to not play by the rules ever. Like, you didn't do your paperwork and you're committing crimes.
Right.
I just think that's like, oof. Like, it's one thing. I get it. Like, you're here, didn't do your paperwork, but you're chilling. You're not committing crimes. You're paying your taxes. Yep. You know, you're not like screwing people over. Yeah. Like, I don't see anything really wrong with that. Right. Like, just do your thing. You know. Like, I think.
And I don't think most people do see a problem with that, right? Like, I think for most of us, I mean, I can speak for myself for sure, but I know that a lot of the people on the right that I talk to, we're fine with that. You know what I mean? Like if obviously I do think that Biden's border policy was terrible and it was wide open and we had way too many people coming over illegally and all that. Fine, that's said and done. So if it was me, first step would be securing the border, making sure we don't have that many illegals coming through again. And then the second thing would be now what do we do with the ones that are already here, right? And for me, I'm only concerned with the ones that are not contributing to society good. I'm concerned with, like you said, the lawbreakers, the people that are doing the bad things, the wrong things. They're not working, they're not contributing, all that. I mean, I know families that are here illegally that are great. They're contributing to American society better than some legal Americans that I know, right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they work hard and they're doing well and all that. I mean, I don't think we should continue to just let them in, but if they're already here and they've been here for 20 years and they've shown that they're good citizens and they've started family, I don't think there's anybody that's like, oh yeah, deport that dad back to Mexico and have him leave his wife and his 4 kids here simply because he's here illegally, even though he has done nothing wrong other than that, right?
And to that you made another point in there that I think would be part of the larger question earlier, as far as like collecting, like government assistance. Like, I don't think anyone should get government assistance without being legal at all. Right. I don't think someone who is illegal should have government assistance at all.
No, like welfare, that kind of stuff.
At all. I think most people who are citizens, most of them should not have government assistance.
Because they mooch it.
People who are actual citizens, I don't think most of them should have it.
They need to revamp that whole system.
I don't think anyone who's not American citizen should have government assistance at all.
Okay.
Like, not at all. And they can say, what about their lives? Well, then do the effing paperwork then.
Even if they're like, even if they are those people we're talking about that are good citizens, but they're still here illegally, you don't think they should get any assistance. Is that more for like incentive that's going to make them want to become citizens?
I think it's a little bit of that. And I think it's just all of that. I don't think, why should we give anyone who doesn't want to do all the loopholes stuff that people are supposed to do, go through loopholes? Like normal citizens have to go through loopholes to get that.
Yeah.
So why would a non-citizen have to like not go through loopholes? You know, like it doesn't make sense. Like, you obviously have to sign like 100,000 pages of paperwork. Sure. That's great, but fill the other ones out. You know, and especially it's like, well, I can't do that. I was like, well, if you're getting government assistance, you're probably not working, so why don't you just fill out paper all day? Your job is filling out paper. That is your job. Just papers day and night. That is literally your job until something shows up, and hopefully something does if you're playing your cards right and you're deserving of that in that respects. You know, like you are someone who wants to play by the rules and someone who does need that assistance. So.
Right. Yeah. I think they need to revamp that whole system.
Yeah.
Because there's far too many people that are just doing nothing, you know. But I mean, I just thought of this again when you were talking, but it's something that I always come back to is this. There's plenty of people in this country that did the hard work to become legal citizens, right? It was hard. It was time consuming. It took a while. They did it. They're here as official American citizens. They're proud of that. So then to have people come in illegally that's like a slap in the face to those families that had to do it the hard way, and then you have the people here illegally, and they're just like, it's just.
I understand it is a long, hard process. Yeah, but absolutely, I think that it's like, it's worth doing, and I don't know, it's important, but we shouldn't incentivize not going through the process. I think that's just insane.
Right.
It's
now,
insane.
I do think that we should make the process maybe a little smoother.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it could be a lot more reform in that. It shouldn't take that long. Right. But, I think that needs some reform in that. And
yeah. I got one for you. This might be controversial. What about language? Do you think that if you immigrate to this country, that you should have to learn English? Do you think that should be a qualifier? Just like if I went to live in Germany, right? I wouldn't expect the German citizens to learn English so they could communicate with me, right? I would probably have to learn German so I could ask where the bathroom is and where the restaurants are.
I don't necessarily think it's a deal breaker.
Okay.
No, I think it's good, but I don't know if it's necessarily a deal breaker.
Okay.
It's like maybe like a small litmus test or something, just like the smallest one. Okay. Like if someone said stop, there are a couple things like stop, go, don't,
right? Yeah.
Fire.
Maybe that's for their own.
A couple things.
Yeah. That would be for their own benefit, right?
But that seems like it could be a tricky one to hold up. You know, you don't get your citizen thing. You didn't know what fire was. right. Oh man.
Yeah. Well, but do you think it's a sign? Some would say, let me put it this way, some would say that's a sign of disrespect when you come to a country and that country is taking you in as a citizen, and you're just saying, no, I've lived here 40 years and I've never learned the language. I mean, I'm not saying that they should know it when they come over and there's a test at the border and say, all right, you need to speak in complete English sentences or we're sending you back. But I mean, if you've been here 45 years and you still don't speak any English, I'm kind of like, I don't know. That seems a little like, again, if I was in another country, if I moved to Japan or something, it's hard to say because English is so. I mean, you can go to almost any country in the world and most people know English because it's such a universal thing. But like if I moved to Japan and let's say not many people there spoke English, again, I'm not going to live there for 20 years and not learn Japanese.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was hard to say. I would say it's not a deal breaker, but it would be nice. Okay. It would be nice.
Right.
I
right.
don't even.
Do you speak Spanish at all?
Not really. Okay. Very small amount.
Okay. So Sylvia can talk about you, and you would have
no idea. Yeah. It happens. It happens every time I go to the family house.
Do your parents speak? What ethnicity are you? Like,
I'm like
specifically.
Oh gosh, I'm like.
Because Downing is not a.
Yeah, it's like. I'm like, why?
That sounds like a European last name.
It's like, it's like Scottish English, I think. It's from like my dad's side. He like died when I was like 2 or 3. So I don't know. I'd say like upbringings are similar to like a second or third generation Mexican American. Okay. You know, so it's pretty dang American at that point.
But are both your parents Hispanic?
Yeah, like a little bit. My dad was like just like a white guy. You know, he's only really half Mexican, and then my mom she's Mexican, but she's like third generation or something. Second or third. Her dad's born in Texas. Her mom's born in Mexico. Okay. So
does she speak Spanish?
She does.
Okay.
She does speak Spanish.
Okay.
My dad does too, but I haven't seen him do it.
Not as much.
I know he can.
Right. He saves it for special occasions.
Kinda, yeah. So I look at him and I still am kind of surprised he even knows how to speak. That guy don't look like he speaks Spanish.
Right.
He's looking at my dad when he does.
Yeah. I love that, though. I think it's so cool. I wish I could bust out a language like that. I've thought about learning Spanish just so I can know when people are what they're saying. But not let anybody know I know it. Just like, okay, no, I know you're talking crap about me. That's cool.
Well, it's funny where I work, a lot of people speak Tagalog.
Oh, Tagalog.
Yeah, Tagalog. Yeah. So, and either other versions, there's all these other dialects. Like it is, I am actually the minority at work.
Oh, really?
It's kind of crazy. It's cool. Everyone's always like, talk about those stories.
Is it mostly Asian?
Asian, Laotian, Thai, and Filipino.
Okay.
Yes. But that's one that's like they're speaking Tagalog and stuff. That's a language I would want to learn. Like, what are they saying?
Right.
Like, I need to learn.
Dude,
Like,
yeah.
Like, why do I want... I almost feel like more inclined to learn that more than Spanish at this point.
Right.
Because it's just so my world. I'm like, what is it saying? You know?
Well, plus, like, most people know Spanish around here, so it'd be cool to know something that was obscure, you know? Like, learn, like, whatever that one where they're like, or whatever that African language, what is that?
Oh, like this weird Spanish one?
Well, no, well, I keep thinking about South Park with Starvin' Marvin. Remember he would talk and he'd and he'd like do all these click sounds and stuff, and they'd be like, what is he talking about? But there's an actual language somewhere over there that it sounds like that. It sounds like a bunch of click. No, it's like in Africa somewhere.
Okay,
It's like Somalia or like Ethiopia, somewhere over there. I don't even know the name of the language, but it doesn't sound like a language, but they communicate. They understand each other.
Kind of Sentinel Island kind of thing.
It's weird.
Or something.
But it'd be cool to know that one.
That's Sentinel Island. Man, what a crazy place.
But there is, and I just learned this, because, we do the passports, right, at the library, and for a while there it was mostly all Spanish speakers that were coming in to get, I'm sure Sylvia talked about this, but it was almost all Spanish speakers coming in to get passports for their kids. And there was one time I was in there, and they were speaking to each other. They didn't speak English, but they were speaking to each other. And I'm going, it kind of sounds like Spanish, but I've grown up around enough Spanish to know that was not Spanish.
Okay.
Right? It was different. Something was different. And then I saw that they were both from Oaxaca.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
so I went upstairs and I was talking to Sylvia and Carmen. I was like, hey, is there like a different dialect that's in Oaxaca? And they said, oh yeah, it's a totally different language.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Mixteca
or mixed.
Oh yeah, Mixteca. I think that's
something
what I've heard
like that.
People call
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and I've kind of heard it in passing here and there, but I'm not privy to any of what it actually is. Even Sylvia's very lost in that one too, so that was kind of
Which is interesting because it's obviously similar enough to Spanish, but when somebody speaks fluent Spanish, they can't understand much of it. Yeah. That's so weird to me. But that's me barely being monolingual. I mean, I barely know English, so yeah. All right. Is there any? So we talked about immigration, deportation, stuff like that. So what's another con you would see? Like I know you said there wasn't many pros with the president. What's some other cons that you see that you don't like?
Gosh, what don't I like? Man, I don't know.
That was hard.
It's hard. I don't know why. It's like.
All right, I'll throw an at you then. Do you think he's racist or no?
I think. I don't know if I want to say he's racist. I think he exudes racial bias.
Okay.
But just to call him a straight up racist seems kind of cheap.
Okay.
Seems so cheap. Like, like he's just a racist. Like, it's not just that. It's like people say, they're not saying Donald Trump's racist, but if you are racist, you're voting for Donald Trump.
Right.
That's kind of the
well, see,
whole
okay, and that's important what you say because that is true for some people.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people. In fact, I even had people say to me, if you vote for Donald Trump, you are a racist, right? Like there's no middle ground, right? Like it in their mind, those two things are in the same room. Like they cannot be separated. There's no way, there's no universe where you can vote for Donald Trump and not be racist in their mind, right? And that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's like you bear the sins of this.
Right.
Man. Like, well, no.
Right. Exactly.
It doesn't work out like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, so you say he kind of has tendencies towards, or I forgot how you worded that.
Yeah, like racial bias.
Racial bias towards some. And what do you mean by that? Do you have, can you give me some examples of that?
Let's see. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example right now. But,
it's like things he's said maybe, or things he's done, or...
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like... I don't know. It just seems like maybe comments in the past, you know, he said, like about like Mexicans being rapists and stuff, and yeah, maybe something like that.
Okay.
That would be something.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's like not.
Well, that's one of those things. If he actually said that, I would agree with you. That is a racist statement. If he said Mexicans are rapists.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That means everybody who's got Mexican blood is a rapist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's a very racist thing to say. But obviously there's been a lot of, debate over what he actually said there, And again, I'm not going to sit here and say I think what he said was good, but it's different to say something he said was good versus something he said was racist, right? That's two different things. And I find that a lot of things Trump says, I say, man, he shouldn't have said it that way, or man, he shouldn't have done that, But I also don't think he said Mexicans are racist, or sorry, rapists. He said, I'm probably going to butcher this, but it's something like some of the people there, or some of the ones they're sending over, or they're not sending their finest. I think that's kind of what he said, right? And people, and I could understand. Let's say that I was a Mexican immigrant, and I'm a great guy. I'm not a rapist. I'm not a murderer. I'm not any of this stuff. And I'm hanging out in America, and I hear our president say, they're not sending their best. They're only sending the rapists and the murderers. And I'm just over here going, wait a minute.
Yeah,
you're pointing to me, but I'm not either one of those things, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I would say that was a stupid thing for him to say.
Yeah, and I could think there's definitely a bit of and I think even amongst minority groups that have obviously overlooked that with their votes. You know what I mean? Which is fine, and I get it. I think they too can and did kind of decipher context for that, I think we definitely live in a realm where even a lot of them are they are I came over illegally, I got my paperwork, and the guy down the street has my paper who doesn't have his paperwork, who plays his music all loud all night. They're sick of it too. They want they want a piece of that American dream like we all do, and we and they too are sick of people not playing by the rules, even if they maybe fudged one on the way, but they're in the process, of becoming, official. I think that's important. And
would you think it would be weird, if you met, maybe you have met somebody like this, I don't know if you have, but this is a hypothetical situation I'm painting for you. If you met someone that was an immigrant from Mexico, and let's say they were even here illegally, right? But they're more the group that we were talking about before, upstanding people, wonderful people, contributing to society, not committing felonies, and you were sitting at coffee with them, and they said to you, and let's say you brought up some of the things Trump said in the past that a lot of people have considered to be racist towards people from Mexico, and that person said to you, no, I don't think he's racist, and I don't think those things he said was racist. Would that blow your mind, or would you be like, oh, that makes sense? No,
if anything, I think with this last vote, and I think that's the energy there. I feel that because back to what you were saying, that with his Latino vote that he got, I think there is that. I think we have a little bit of that Black Lives Matter energy of Black Lives Matter, and you see this huge rally of people, and it's 5,000 white people and 3 black dudes. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's they're not even they're kind of dude.
How crazy is that? Dude?
There's a little bit of that energy.
Yes.
Back to that, and I don't know. I feel like there's a bit of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how many black people were against BLM.
Yeah. Which is wait a minute. And it's just that whole, I think people's hearts are in the right place. I truly do, albeit it doesn't mean you can't be lost and have your in the right place. I think you could totally do that. It happens to people all the time. But it's one of those, it kind of reminds me of that kind of energy of things. They're Black Lives Matter, but it's more it should it shouldn't be so polarizing. I think it should be more about police brutality versus what the color of the skin of the person who just got beat to death. Right.
But do you think they skew that? Do you think it's interesting that if you look at the way the news presents things, if it's a white cop and a black person on the other side of the cop, whatever the case is, whether it's crime being committed, whatever it is, they seem to only mention the races when it's that scenario. If it's either a black cop and a black guy or a black cop and a white guy, they don't usually say, oh, a black cop beat up a white guy today at a traffic stop, right?
Yeah.
They tend to only say it if it's a white cop against a black guy, and it's just, so it's like the media tends to like push that narrative. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, and I think that speaks to a larger narrative of news and media being consumed as rage bait, which is ultimately like the best way to get people's engagement.
Right. And
the algorithm knows that, and it kind of is what it is. And there's just certain things that are going to get people to react, It's like, and whatever that is.
But in a bad way.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like
in a bad way.
Not good for our country.
Absolutely.
It's just going to divide us even more,
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know if there's a space for like just really honest news nowadays.
I don't think there is. I don't think there is.
Like, like I'll try to go to both sides because I know what else do is so left that I honestly have to look at the other side. I can't just see, the other side's just going to, they only focus on certain things. And it's just weird. One side I think is a lie and then the other side's just covering what I don't care about.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. And I'm with you.
I feel like that's how I've been feeling lately. Like, well, I don't relate to this, the stuff your current, what I'm mad about or whatever the heck it is. I don't relate.
Yeah.
And then the other side I think is a lie, so I feel like I'm kind of lost in a bit of all that. So.
Yeah, I honestly believe that it should be punishable by jail time to be within the media and say something untrue. I really do, because I think that will make them really be careful with what they say. They better have credible sources to back up what they're saying. They should not be allowed to twist things to fit a narrative.
Yes.
Because if we can get rid of all of that and get back to where America can actually watch the news and goes, oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And we know that's true. Why? Because the news said it.
Yeah.
Most people now, right or left, I don't care who you are, they're like, I don't trust anything I see on the news.
I know. It's like NPR is like Kilmer's a hero. It's like Fox, he was a rapist.
Right.
And I'm like, what is going on?
Right?
Like, dude,
there has to be a truth there, right?
Yes.
Like both those things can't be true at the same time. Not too many rapists are heroes, as far as I understand.
And
right?
It's like, I guess we'll extradite him to throw him in jail.
Right.
It's just like,
See, and it's just such a mess, and people run with stuff like that. And I know the younger generation now, they get all their news from like TikTok and Instagram and places like that, and they don't research it. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Like they just see it and maybe they like what it says. Oh yeah, that guy's this and this, that. Oh yeah, I saw this thing. It's got to be true. And then they start telling everybody they know, oh, I hate this guy because of this. And I'm like, is that even true? Like, do you actually have proof of that?
Yeah.
And I'll talk to sometimes my own kids that are caught up in that kind of stuff. And I said, do you have proof of that? Well, I mean, it's said on here and we all know. But it's like, yeah, but where's the proof of that?
Correct. And you're not always trying to put them in a corner, but if you could like, could you just give me the news source?
Right.
And then click, click it. Like, come on. You just open up a big thing. Like, well, that's what it said. And it's And then it's just that whole read the top line energy. Kind of like, that's it. And I didn't look at it again. Like,
which I can't fathom that. Like living my life that way. I really can't.
Like, there's a funny joke I really like. And the joke is, albeit seemingly aimed at maybe at a conservative angle, but it's a good joke, and I think it just kind of lives on either way. But it was like this is show I used to watch, Superstore.
Okay, no.
So there's this guy Marcus in there, and he's like a generally conservative guy, kind of a bit of a conspiracy guy, like just a good dude. And there was two jokes he said that I was like, that does kind of wrap up a lot of a side, but it is what it is. You could argue it in a second, but one of the things he said, and they never say names about the voting, which is good. Like, don't say there's no need,
Right.
So I already picked my guy. He's like, who's your guy? He's like, he's anti-bad guy, pro-freedom. Already picked him. And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
But then going back to he was saying something about some kind of conspiracy thing, and people were pressing him on it. He kept pressing him on what it was. I don't even remember what it was. It was just something like, if you tan your balls, you get stronger. Who doesn't matter? It doesn't really matter. It's just conspiracy.
That's true, I think.
But I heard you put him in ice too. People are they're gonna say slamming him on the window shield is gonna make you stronger. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
But there was one where they kept pressing him. And he's checking on his phone, hold on. The site keeps going down. Hold on. A lot of pop-ups. Hold on, bring down my pop-ups. Okay, well, what is the website? And he's pressing them, and his phone is keep glitching, and it's going off. And he finds like, okay, I found it. The website was at truthpatriot.biz.
Yeah. Yeah.
My eyes just roll inside my soul. Like,
but that's the point of the joke, right?
Yeah, the whole, it's just like, it's some shadiness.
Yeah.
Like, I just said he's some crazy thing. And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist on the other side, too.
Sure.
They're all there. Just fringe news. It's for every side. But
well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Sadly, to me, it seems like the majority of people on either side are just looking for the news that's going to support what they already want. Which is not the way to live life. No. Because if let's say I believe such and such, and I think this is true, and I want this to be true, let's say. But let's say it's not true. Sure, I can find a bunch of books and news articles that are going to support my view, but ultimately, if it's the wrong view, why do I want it? But most people, they just want it. And then they'll say, well, I can find, Ryan, I can find 15 people that agree with me.
It's like,
I'm
there's
like, well,
a lot
of
people with terrible point of views with a ton of sway. Like, like, I don't know how many followers Kanye West has, but I know it's a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I know he sucks.
Yes.
You know? Like, so
literally.
Like, he sucks. Yeah,
right.
So it hurt really. A lot.
That's
I'm not even like trying to put my ear to that wall really, and I'm just hearing random things like, okay, that's weird.
Well, he obviously has something severely mentally wrong going on with him. I don't know what. I mean, specific diagnosis we're looking at there, but there's something definitely wrong with that man. So it's just he keeps going back and forth.
I hope he gets the help he needs.
Yeah, me too.
With anybody, you know, it's like
well, he's got the money. He should be able to hire the greatest psychologist in the world. So, oh my gosh. All right, so I got two more questions for you to end the political section. The first one is, between the first, and again, I know we're early on in the second term of Trump, but between the first term, the full 4 years, versus the last 3 months or where we're at now of the second term, do you see a difference, or do you think it's exactly the same? Do you think one's worse than the other, or?
I don't really notice too much of a difference.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah, no, it's too much.
You feel like he's still saying the same stupid things from the news?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
okay.
It's kind of the same. Like, I feel like the rhetoric was just as toxic then as it was now. Like, I used to, like, in between his being president, I was a lot more privy to keeping up on his Truth Social. But then once he came back in there, I was like, it's fine. They're just gonna put it on the news every day. Like, it's just gonna be the news every day, and it was, and it is. Yeah. It truly is.
Yeah.
But back then, it was like, it wasn't as looked into. It like someone would say something, he'd say this, and maybe the other side wouldn't like look at it as news. Now it's like, this is just news now. Like this crazy stuff he says at 3 a.m. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because everyone says great thoughts on the internet at 3 a.m. Everything has been good. It's kind of like they say, like, nothing good happens after 2 a.m. or whatever they say. It's It's like, I think it's like that. I don't think most people aren't going to write anything positive or great for the universe after 2 in the morning.
I would hope not, anyway. I mean, that's not when I do my best thinking, that's for sure. All right, so the last thing will be then, like, what, and this is kind of a big loaded question. If you had all the resources, financially, materialistically, everything, and you were tasked with fixing one thing in the world, and you had the means to do it, what would you do? What's the one thing that if you could change anything about our world, our country, whatever it may be, how would you go about that?
Oh gosh, I know there's like a billion things, obviously, but I don't know. I think for me, gosh, like I said, there's a ton of things, but I don't know why. Maybe just because you mentioned it earlier, but I think the kind of the reformation of like big pharma and the medical thing, I think it all just is really, it just needs a whole kind of shake up, like turn on its head.
Oh yeah.
I feel like people should have free medical. I don't think people should have doctors all the time. You know what I mean? I don't think people should be on medicine all the time. It's just think it just needs a whole shake up in general. Like there's just a lot. I feel like these doctors are just fine with like just, working class guy breaks his knee and now he's like loves fentanyl, and it's like, and I've done drugs and
not fentanyl, I hope.
No, I'm not that rich. I've done a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
A lot,
but not that one.
I've tried most drugs, a lot of drugs maybe once, and it's good. It feels great, And so as far as like the addiction thing, I definitely have a sensitive spot for that, and for all people. And like some of these people aren't just like, some people, like I said, back to the working class man. Well, it doesn't matter. Breaks their knee and they get like some fentanyl. And now they like want to do that now. Yeah, that like. Yeah, it feels way better than going to effing work. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course it feels better. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's not life. Right. You know what I mean? That's not like, that's cool. That's the easier way out. It's super neat. Yeah, that's great, but it's not life.
Well, then we go back to the people mooching the system.
Yeah. It's
right. I'm on disability for 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, no, get better and go back to work, right? That's what the system's designed for, not for you to mooch off it for 30 years.
It's just like, it's sad, and I see it like turning, it's like, why are doctors turning people into junkies? That's not cool.
Well, you know why?
It's not cool.
Because they're making the money. Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And it's like, I don't know. And it does speak to a larger narrative, too. It's like sometimes, like, I don't know, with regulation, but, like, sometimes I feel like, obviously, the big pharma needs to be taken down. The cartels need to be taken down, because that speaks to, like, drugs. And it's, in some ways, I know it's a little risky, and I don't know all the fine works about it, but sometimes I think, like, drugs should be legalized.
Okay. Like all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, and that's, the Americans own it now.
Sure.
You get taxed on it. Like, you got to write your name down.
You can go to the grocery store and buy heroin.
Yeah.
Right,
like but we got to write it all down. It's all documented.
Okay.
Everything is documented,
Yeah.
And it can be controlled at that point.
Right.
Like, okay, but I think, as far as like, taking down the drug cartels and all the stuff that's going down, that would be one of the things. If I had, I think you were asking me somewhere in there as far as trying to say, the first one was say something nice about Rollins. Like, maybe I'm gonna go. This one's say something nice about Trump. You know what I mean?
Right,
and I feel like his, his idea of attacking the cartels and doing something it's important to me, and I think that's huge. It's scary living in a world of this one pill kill BS we live in. Like, that's horrifying. I'm glad and lucky that I don't do drugs anymore. Right. Like I said, I have tried a lot of stuff, and I'm very grateful that I've come out the other end. Not compromised.
There's been stories of young people dying of fentanyl overdose just from smoking weed that was laced with fentanyl. I mean, could you imagine?
It breaks my heart. It is so sad. And I remember people, they would tell us, my generation, but that scare wasn't very real. Right. Like, they scared, you could, about this. And, the reality is that you just, you effed up your whole life, or blah, blah, blah. But now there is so much that is so much more real, and it's so scary, Obviously, don't do drugs, kids. We get it, and you shouldn't, but it's sad that, like, a kid could want to, try Molly one time, something seemingly innocent, which, to me, other people's worse, whatever. Right. But,
and that's it.
A young kid doesn't even die over that. They're like, well, it shouldn't be drugs in the first place. I get it, and they shouldn't,
But as the parents of those kids, that's where it's hard. I mean, we could sit there and say, they shouldn't have done that, but they did. Now they're gone.
It's just gone.
Right.
There's
And
no
now the
second
parent
chance.
is like,
There's no second chance. There's no
right.
and it's
that's terrible.
Yeah.
So you mentioned free medical. How would you go about that, though? Like, who's going to pay for that?
Somehow make the government pay for it.
Well, which would make our taxes go up, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. So we'd be paying for it.
Yes.
So you think our taxes should go to that?
Yeah, and I think it's, just stop paying for some other whatever. Yeah. Like, stop giving Elon Musk money or something. Right. I don't know. Right. Something normal. Like,
well, he's kind of poor. He needs the money.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
he's kind of
giving, like, the billionaires, like, a ton of tax cuts. Sure, you can give them a couple. Whatever. You got to have some friends. I get it. Yeah. But, like, fix the medical thing, you know? And I just hate how, like, all those billionaires are all tied into it. They need that machine to run that way. No one's asking us to shake up the oil companies. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's, like, make it work. And I know that everyone's like, oh, we can't make it work. Yes, we can make it work. We have money to do it. Just move the money around. And I see Trump doing that now, and I hope that does benefit us. Like, there is a little bit of excitement to see that there is that, he's trying to do that, and I think that's good and interesting, and people were wanting that for a while.
Well, because bare minimum, like you have, and I say this to everybody that's, at least that I've talked to since the second term has started. But when you look at what he's trying to do, the people he's putting into place to do these things, what I'm seeing is for years, 30, 40, 50 years, you ask people, how do we fix the country? How do we fix the government? They always say the same thing. Well, there is no fix. It's too far corrupt. The government's too far corrupt. We need to tear it all down and start over. Pharmaceutical company, we need to tear it all down and start over. Like everything, we need to tear it all down. And I see Trump, at least the second term, that seems to be what he's trying to do.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Right? But it's rubbing people the wrong way a lot, which is understandable, because a lot of these people within those communities or within those workforces that are going to get the shaft because of it. But it's one of those things is like there's some necessary trials that need to take place in order to come out on the other side better, right? It means some people might lose jobs. It might mean some programs might get cut from government spending. And is that going to hurt a lot of people financially? Yes. Yeah. But if that's what needs to happen in order to get to the other side where everybody has a better life and a world, I don't know. You know, it's one of those things. It's hard, but it's necessary hard, maybe.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's arguments for each side of each thing, and I'm not like completely versed in all of it, but like for example, like I feel like, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't take away from California parks, the parks that are literally always on fire all the time. Right. You know, like, I don't know, give them $500 and tell them to put the dang fire out. Right. You know, like, it's on fire. Right. If there wasn't fires all the time, like, I don't know, then lay people off. That's fine, but stuff's on fire all the time. Right. And I've heard him have some criticisms of how California deals with their fire abatement, and he may not be wrong. I'm not necessarily like, I don't know, things are on fire. I'm open-minded. I'm open-minded. Yeah. If things weren't on fire and you had this stupid idea, I'd be like, shut up, things aren't on fire. Right. But things are on fire, I'm open-minded. Like, let's be open-minded. Yeah. You know, like, like if things are on fire, I think that's a good time.
So the money should go where it's needed.
Yeah, like, I don't know, I feel like the schools, like, I feel like the kids in schools, like, I think they need more money. Like, these teachers are saints, you know, in my point. In my mind, like, mothers and teachers are the salt of the earth. Like, I wish I could be half as strong as them. You know, like, I know I'm not, and I know I'm strong, but like, teachers and moms, oh my goodness.
Oh, trust me.
They are like,
so my wife is both, because we homeschool.
Oh my god.
So I look at, and she holds down a full-time job.
Oh my god.
I look at Bethany and I'm like, I'm in awe of her. Like, I get to go to work every day and escape all of this with the kids and the drama at home, all that. I just go to work. And I come home and dinner's on the table and everything's good and we're happy, you know. And it's just, and she's here all day. She's trying to homeschool. She's trying to do her job. She's trying to do it. She works from home and she homeschools the kids and she's got to take care of me. You know, it's just like, you know, it's a mess, but she does it gracefully.
And like, I look at them, I look at them like those have served. Oh, I really do. Like,
yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yes.
Women,
women are amazing people.
Like, they deserve their own stripes too. Right? They really do. Like, like, dude, that's like a tour, man. That's crazy. This stuff, like, so all the respect. So that's one of those things. Like, I feel like like we shouldn't be taking money away from the schools. Right. You know, I wish that the fix the medical thing. Obviously, things need to be moved around. But that's what I would want.
Is there anything you wouldn't want your tax money going to? I mean, besides rich people.
Oh, what I don't want it to go to. Oof.
Like, is there any like programs or like things that you don't want it to go to?
Oh, dang it. I don't like, I just don't really like the idea of funding war that we aren't directly into. Is just super sad to me. You know, I definitely think war is sad in general, no matter what. You know, it's evil to want war.
So you think we should stick to our own?
I feel like there's a little bit of that, you know, like, I don't know. And maybe even the ones that are going on, I have some opinions on, like,
you got Ukraine and you got Israel. Yeah, so
when it comes to like Ukraine and Russia, I feel like Russia's just truly evil, and I think it's kind of important to keep them in check because they're going to try to take over the world again.
Right.
They've done it. They tried to do it before.
Yeah.
Does everyone forget? Like,
well, in every movie you watch, the bad guys are always Russians. There's the proof you need right there.
I'm making an expression with my hands that say you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah,
I'm literally doing that right now. And as far as Palestine and Israel, that's also really sad, and I have some opinions on both sides.
Sure. Sure. But I mean, regardless of your opinions on both sides, are you saying that as America we shouldn't intervene ever?
I think it all kind of changes each one. Like, so for example, in that one, I would say I'm pro-Ukraine, and then as far as Palestine and Israel, it's like I think we should just pull all the money out, let them figure it out.
Okay.
Like, just let them figure it out.
Yeah.
And I don't think they truly ever will. I've read a history book. They're never going to.
It's not a new conflict.
But I just don't think that has to be our problem right now. Like, it's sad what they're doing. All sides are just killing everyone on each side.
Right.
And they've all been kind of done wrong by each other over the years, hundreds of years, sometimes thousands of years.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to that one, I think that just kind of like, I think it's best that we just kind of stay out of that one.
Back up.
But yeah, I feel as far
But
as
you don't feel like that with Ukraine and Russia. And the reason is because you think that if we don't keep Russia in check, that could affect us.
And Russia's just going to try to take over everything, and then it becomes a superpower again, and this whole world thing, where I don't see Palestine or Israel like coming for us. You know, like, oh, we're going to fucking get super conglomerate, we're going to like F this world up. It's going to be one of those crazy movies, you know, like they're just like I just think of like a bunch of like ants in a thing, and you're just always shaking.
Oh yeah,
you know, that's how I kind of see that area. It's like they're always shaking. You know, it's different colored ants and like
throw some black ones and some red ones in there, and maybe throw some army ones in there too, and shake it all up.
It's just never working, you know. And I pray for a solution for them, but it's also like I don't really see how much more of just like supplying them with tons of ammunition is helping us or making us any better in the scenario right now. And like I said, I think they've both done wrong on each side. I definitely feel like the Palestinians are kind of getting more effed over right now, but I also think that the Jews aren't blameless either. It's kind of like blame on each side. And I think almost enough where we can kind of like, well, I don't know. Like this guy like punched this guy in the eye, this guy punched this guy in the eye, and then it came back, the other guy punched the other one back. And then just kind of keeps going back.
Yeah, and that's why it's really hard to have strong opinions on that stuff because, again, we're not over there.
Yeah.
Right? We don't. I mean, people try to pretend like they really know what's going on over there, but they don't. And that's why you have two strong... That's why you can meet somebody who's totally strong pro-Israel, and then you can meet somebody who's totally strong pro-Palestine, and they all have this big list of reasons of why they are, right?
Yeah. And it's like, do you know what like Nakba is?
Yeah.
I
don't. No.
So Nakba was like something where like the Palestinians were killing everyone. It's like a whole thing. I know you're just like opening up, but it's one of those things like everyone uses the Holocaust as a talking point, which is a very important talking point. I think it's huge, absolutely huge, not to be undermined. You know, in defense of the Jews. Right. But if you looked up Nakba, which would be in defense of the Palestinians, and it's like 100 years old, and it's all this similar. You war on this and this.
Like somebody tried to wipe out the Palestinians?
Yeah, the same kind of thing. Yeah, it's like, and it's like just this war going back and forth. And like, I definitely, a theme I've seen of genocide, the more research I do on it, it seems to be that one side kind of has like a slightly bigger piece of the pie. Some other side is like a good slice of pie, but it's slightly smaller. And then one day after like being proverbially pooped on so many times, the side that is not in power reacts in violence, and they react in a violent way of let's say 100 casualties, and then you basically the transverse of that is usually like some kind of a genocide. Then they're like, well, we're going to use that small amount of violence to wipe out 1 million people. Right. You know, and I've seen that theme with all these different ones, and even like the Ukraine thing. You know, like just like 100 years ago, the Ukraine genocide. It was like the Russians were trying to starve them, and then now the Palestinians are getting starved out by this, and it's like it's not right, and to starve people out by the millions. There's something that's proverbially wrong with that.
Well, especially when it's like civilians, like they're not even involved in the war. It's just it's like if our country went to war, our government decided to go to war with Russia.
Yeah.
And here we are over here. Maybe a lot of us are like, look, we don't even agree with this war, but we're going to be starving. Our kids are going to be getting killed. All that's because we just live here. It's like, that sucks. You know, I wish it would just be military against military, and all the civilians would just be out of it, not involved.
Yeah,
it never happens that way. So
it's super sad.
Yeah. All right, man. One last section here.
All right,
we're trucking along. We're doing good. We're making good time.
Cool.
So the last thing will be. Spirituality, God talk. So just kind of walk me through. I know you mentioned earlier Catholic. So is that a belief you hold for yourself, or more like your parents raised you that way and you just kind of fall back on it?
I hold myself at this point in my adult life.
Okay.
Yeah, that's growing up into it. Sometimes it felt like it was more their thing. Then I kind of stepped away for like 7 years or so, and then
what age? Like teenage?
Yeah, I was like right after like confirmation, basically. I felt like I kind of was just going through the motions at that point. I kind of felt not really into it, you know. I felt like my mind was just somewhere else, but it felt like so many things were set in motion that I was just doing it by going through the motions in respects. So, so afterwards, it sort of, I kind of just really didn't really relate to it, or was just like, didn't have faith from like 17 to like 25 or something.
And during that time, would you say you were an atheist, or just that you didn't believe in that particular religion?
Yeah, I would say probably closer to like an atheist. Yeah, like atheist, fatalist, something. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what brought you back into believing in God again?
Oh man, I feel like there's some kind of isolated incident, but it's hard to say. I'm trying to think of the time. That would have been...
I feel like mid-20s.
So 17, I feel like it's 25, 24. Mm-hmm. Now, what was I doing? I was 24. What year was it? I was 24. Would have been, let's see, 16? No. Dang it. That made me think a little bit.
It was like a maturity thing, maybe? Just kind of...
Yeah, maybe 8, 9? Oh, yeah, so it was around... I think I was just kind of getting into it when I was first kind of going out with Sylvia. So I think when I first went out with her, maybe wasn't even into it. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of started coming back into it.
Is that because of her? Like, was she... big into it?
It could have been, but like she's not as... I don't know. Open, or she's a little different with it, she relates to it, but for me it was kind of a whole different homecoming, I guess. I guess felt more like a true spiritual homecoming. I was ready to come back, really be back and engage and have like my own adult relationship with like God, and without that kind of, I guess, influence from my parents, it's obviously still there, but now it's more of like...
Well, that's why you went back to that one, right? You didn't become like a Mormon or anything like that.
Yeah, correct. I was like, thought about some things that I was like, I'm just going to go back to this one. It's the oldest one. That's pretty cool. It's super old, I guess that's the whole... bit, I guess. I've been recently talking to a coworker of mine who's also Catholic, but I think he literally has like a Buddhist necklace he wears, so he's kind of multi...
He's a Buddhist Catholic.
Yeah, he's got a lot. He was telling me how he got the bread at church the other day, and the priest saw his Buddhist necklace.
Oh, really? What did the priest say?
He didn't say it. I just kind of looked it up, and he offered the bread, he just said amen, and the sermon was like, I love that. It's like I don't have necessarily any connections to those outer ones, but I love the exploration. Anyone exploring their religion, I think it's religion in general. I think it's good, even if it's not my religion. I think it's good.
It can do good things.
Well, absolutely, I think I think it's kind of important for. I think it's absolutely important for people to have, and everyone's gonna have different views and different kinds of either it's Christianity or not, or there's so many different kinds of Christianity and stuff. Yeah. It's like it just changed my thing the other day. I went back and forth. It was like a cross for a little bit, but then I went back to my boring one, which it was before. It was just like lowercase Catholic, no special font. It just says Catholic.
What's this on?
It's on my Instagram.
Oh, gotcha.
It's like it shows that I'm married to my wife's the first thing, and then it's like I play drums in Longstraw, I sing in Horsewater, and then it just says the word Catholic.
Okay.
Just the word.
Very basic.
Just so basic.
Yeah.
I was like, for a second, I'm like, the cross is cute, but it's a little too welcoming.
Right.
It's a little too welcoming. It's a little too like, I want to get along with you. No, it's like, it's just more like, I'm like,
right.
It's like you're at some kind of youth group and they find out, they're like, oh, that's interesting. Sure. Tried Lutheran? No, I don't know. No, I've always had a good time at non-denominational youth groups. That was.
Did you grow up going to youth groups?
Not generally, because I was Catholic, so it was like, at least my circles, they didn't do anything fun like that.
Yeah.
Like when I was.
They don't have Catholic youth group, do they?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
See, dude, you're doing something weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's the one thing.
I've never heard of that.
Everyone's like, where do you meet? And I've had some good times there because going back to that and connecting back to music, that was some of the. Yeah, growing up, my parents were decently strict with some of the media and stuff I got involved in, which I'm grateful for.
You mean they prevented you from watching and listening to stuff that was
yes. So that being said, some of my first concerts I went to were at these Christian places, and I can list specific places. They specifically one on New Life, which is on Oak Park, still there today. And they would have these alternative bands. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I've been to lots of shows there.
Yeah, and that was huge for me. That was my first musical community ever, and that's to this day is sort of my religious community is my other important community that I relate to is the music community at large.
Do you remember any of the bands you saw there?
Well, bands like EMH. EMH is probably the biggest one that that was cool. Good stuff. Watashi Wa.
Oh, nice.
And then you'd have...
They're from Slow, though, Watashi Wa.
Yeah, I think they actually just played a show at Slow Brew a couple months ago. And I talked to a friend about that knew about that scene. You see Watashi Wa? It's a throwback. Glad they're alive. That's cool. For what it's worth, I haven't listened to that music in a while. I don't know if it would hold up. I do remember listening to EMH not that long ago, and I remember still liking that. He had a nice scream. I know I've delivered pizza to him. But that was some of my first stuff seeing live music.
Okay.
And there were people kind of my age, and some of the bands that snuck in were secular, but albeit appropriate.
Yes.
So for example was, oh gosh, I'm totally gonna forget the name now. I think the band was in Preston. Was the name of the band? And Aaron Wick from Ragged Jubilee was the drummer.
Okay.
And they played, and they were they kind of remind me of, I don't know, almost like a Teen Idols kind of thing. The poppier Teen Idols, not the
IDOL or the IDLE.
IDOL. IDOL.
The Fat Records band.
And it reminded me of that vibe. There wasn't a girl singer in there, but it was rock. It was upbeat. He had a nice quaff and was singing. So it kind of was akin to a older time. But that was huge for me. So some of those youth groups, those were big. And honestly, some of my last, as that age, it was funny because I felt it was strong, beautiful times of people congregating with and usually would have something nice with it. They would have a prayer or something that made it still special like that, which I thought was really cool and still good. I still hold these things dear to this day.
Well, they used to use those as evangelism tools. They would do an altar call, or they would do somewhere in the concert, because they knew a lot of kids there that weren't believers. They were just there for the music, or their Christian friend invited them or something. It's we gotta have an altar call. We gotta try to have them pray whatever.
Altar call?
Altar call.
Altar call.
Basically saying, if there's anybody in this room who doesn't know Jesus as their Savior, we're going to invite you to pray a prayer with us right now, and that'll help that whole thing.
Yeah. And I think that was super cool, and I still love it to this day, but I was also at that point where I was just, I was questioning a lot, and I was kind of ready to kind of I don't know, I guess think of things in a different way,
Right.
I guess. And,
Yeah.
you know, as far as the times, that was kind of the beginning of that first, like the whole Catholic priest stuff, you know. So that was like, for me, I was just enough like, I'm going to walk away from that.
Oh, you mean like with the little boys? And
Yeah,
stuff?
exactly,
Okay.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just ready to throw
Yeah.
the baby out with the bathwater.
Which is a bummer.
Which is a-
because obviously there's nothing in Catholic teaching that teaches that.
Correct.
Right? So these were men that were going against the teachings of Christ, yet a lot of people are like, oh, I hate Catholicism because of the molestation of little boys. It's like, well, that's not Catholicism. That's a bunch of men going against Catholicism, right?
Correct. And it's not like they're not teaching; they're teaching against that.
Right.
You know, like
right.
You know, so that was always big. So that was a hard thing to compartmentalize. But now, like, obviously, you don't see it that way now. It's like, well, that's like, you know, I feel that those people, specifically priests and or anyone who touches a child, should be dealt with in ways that the government probably doesn't feel.
Oh.
I feel
Tortured and killed, as far as I'm
absolutely.
concerned.
I'd say
slow,
like,
painful
death. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
like I've kind of been thinking about it lately too. I think maybe like the first strike, definitely chop your balls off.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I think that should be a first one, and
Yes.
then I think extermination is generally the second one. Like
Yeah.
I can't be having you come back here 5
Right.
times, guys. I can't do
Yeah.
that. You know, like
I know.
that means I let someone go to do that again.
Yes.
Like what are you doing?
And
you
that
know?
happens often, sadly.
Yeah, so if you're gonna catch and release, tag them. Like
Right.
you better punch that
Yeah.
ear. You know, and that's
Right.
for that. Like. And I don't, and I hate how there's like, because I've heard that before, and everyone just pushes back. I'm like, that's not right. Like what they did wasn't right. Like you're lucky he gets
Yeah.
a second chance.
Right.
Like I should cut his head off on live TV
Yeah.
right now. You know, but
I don't know if I can think of a worse crime somebody could commit
I can't think of
than treating children like that.
I can't, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm definitely a person who believes in redemption and rebuilding and blah blah
Sure.
blah and second chances. But that one is just like, ooh,
Yeah.
dang it! If I found out someone was, it's like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't outright like fight them and stab them in the face, but there would be a
Yeah.
bit of like, I can't talk to you.
Yeah.
You know, like we can't. Me and you, no, there's
Yeah.
none of that. You know.
Well, I don't suggest going on that sex offender website then.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's a trip. You're flipping through there and you're seeing people you know.
Oh my
and
gosh.
It's like, oh, whoa, wait a minute.
Yep, absolutely.
I can't go on there anymore because I don't want to view those people differently, you know?
Gosh,
But yeah, it's just gnarly. But I mean, a lot of it, not that I'm trying to justify it, but it can be something as small as the guy was 18, his girlfriend was 17, and they were in a car together making out.
Yeah.
And the parents got mad and called the cops, and now he's on the sex registry.
Correct. Yes.
And when in reality it was just two consensual teenagers making out in a car,
Yes.
and now this guy's face is plastered on this website for the rest of his life as if he's some kind of child rapist or something.
And I think there's definitely should be some discretion in there.
Right.
Obviously, like,
Yeah.
it's like people of a certain age, consensual this. Yeah, that's one thing. But then obviously, we know the bad things. We
Right.
know the bad things.
Right.
Like, yeah, there's just no excuse.
Right,
you know?
right,
But,
yeah. Okay, so back to the Catholicism. Do you think there is a one right belief system as far as spirituality? Like, do you see Catholicism as the one way of truth, or do you think there's many ways and that's just the one you choose?
Yeah, I suppose there could be multiple ones. You know, I feel like Catholicism's just a little more protected in the way of it's just being so old. You know, it just has that like. It seems like it has this energy of like trying to remember who it is. You know, not trying to get like lose its identity with new things or what have you. It tries to keep like something consistent. You know,
Sure.
like. And there's something. I think it's neat that it's like, I guess it's like you Google it. What I've heard, like I said, I don't know if I finished the sentence about my friend with the Buddhist necklace. He was saying you Google it, and that's what I understand. It's like when you look up religions, you look up who started it, and there's always like a name, you know. It's
Sure.
just like, and you look up like Catholicism, I guess it just says Jesus.
Well, that's debatable.
Yeah, and I'm sure. I bet.
Like most people would say Peter.
Yeah.
Catholics would say that Peter was the first pope, right? Like Peter of the Bible, Peter, like the disciple of Christ. But there's obviously some disagreement among, Protestants don't believe that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you, like, because you're talking about how it's so old and it's such an old religion, and to say, well, but was Jesus Catholic? Like, do we really have any, like, because obviously Jesus is the founder of the Christian belief system, which encompasses both Catholicism and Protestantism. So
yeah, I don't think so. I think it's like it almost goes back to a music thing of like I don't think you're always necessarily what you start.
Right.
Like Iggy Pop started punk, but he's not punk music.
Right.
You know, that's one of those things.
Yeah.
Even if he started, sometimes you're just like, you're not taking it. Even though you started it, you are not actually punk rock music.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You're right as far as saying, like, if you looked up, like, Mormonism, you would see that was started by Joseph Smith. If you looked up Jehovah's Witnesses or, you know, which all these are considered to be Christian religions also, right? Because Mormons, central, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So Jesus Christ is in there. You got Jehovah's Witnesses, same thing. They believe in Jesus, but like what each of these groups believe about Jesus is very, very different.
That's interesting.
Right?
I don't know too much about Jehovah's Witness, and that's one like kind of curious about, like not trying to join. I've picked my tribe, you know, but I still like I'm always curious about different things, and you know, I love like looking into cults and other things, like religions. I just think it's just super interesting, and
But do you think that like Jesus needs to be, because like we just talked about 4 different religious sects that were connected to Jesus in some way, right? Whether it's Catholicism, whether it's all the different denominations within Protestantism, or it's even Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, that all has Jesus as a central figure. And like I said, obviously believe different things about him as a central figure. But then you got ones like Buddhism, you got ones like Hinduism, or some of these other religious systems that are not, they have nothing to do with Jesus, you know, Islam, right. You know, although Islam talks about Jesus, they believe Jesus existed. They believe he was a good teacher, but he's not a central tenet of their belief, right?
Correct.
Allah or Muhammad would be more that. But do you think that Jesus needs to be a part of that? Like, let me rephrase. Sorry, needs to is the wrong way to say it. Do you think that someone who is Buddhist or Hindu, that their belief system does not revolve in any way around Jesus, do you think they'll go to heaven when they die?
Ooh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe like, and it's like, and that speaks to a larger thing. I don't know. They like. What their religion even teaches in the end, you know, if you go into something else, you know, it's like it's hard to say. I would think so. Okay, I would think so.
So do you kind of think everybody goes to heaven then, or like do you think hell's a real place as well?
Yeah, I believe hell's a real place.
So who goes to hell then?
It's like everyone who.
Child rapists, murderers, Barbara Streisand, people like that.
Something like that, yeah, you know, I gotta have somebody, you know. I think so. Yeah, those people go to hell. There's like, I don't know, like the Oklahoma City bomber, just certain things.
So people that have committed horrific things, basically.
Yeah. I definitely feel like there's a ton of redemption, and I definitely believe in all this. Like, I smoked heroin my whole life and ran over kids, you know, done bad things, but then on your deathbed, you know, coming to God and stuff like that. I believe in that too. I think there can be some last second redemption, you know, if I think Darwin got his, so, you know, that's the whole thing. So, yeah.
Darwin?
Darwin,
like Charles Darwin?
Yeah, like on his deathbed, he's like, it was all I was like, so yeah.
Well, he started as a religious person.
Oh, yeah.
He grew up. He was trained to be a pastor or a priest or something. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Oh my God. I didn't know that much.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, like, that makes sense that he raised up, you know, religious because he's not born today.
Right. Yeah.
He's not born
That's a good point.
That's just like, that goes without saying, but I'm like, but I could see that he was on a path almost.
Right. And then going to the Galapagos where he started to develop that theory. But like, so it's more for you. It's more of like a works based in a sense of saying like, what if kind of like if you're good, if your bad outweighs your good, then you're in hell. If your good outweighs your bad, you're in heaven, kind of deal.
Kind of, yeah. There's some stuff like that, yeah. And there's just like these little things of like oh man, yeah. I would say that the bad and the good, and it's kind of like the people you help and your intentions and what you do with that, and some of your like integrity and some of the things that you can or can't or would do, where more specifically bad or good, when no one's looking, the things that only
God can see.
Yeah, only God can see, and those things are, I think, say a lot about people. Like the things that no one sees are kind of big. Like what everyone sees says a lot, like obviously, but like the things you do, people aren't looking or trying to. I think that says a lot, and I think that's where I think a lot of that speaks to God a lot. A lot of that, like in the space that only God knows, like. Whether that person believes in them or not at that time, I think there's a lot of just communication, conscious or otherwise, with God at that point.
Okay.
Because he's the ultimate, like, whatever witness. I don't know if that's what Jove's with, but he's always there.
Sure.
And in that time, he's the only one that could see that, like, oh, they probably shouldn't have thrown her body in the river, but I saw that. You know what I mean? And or whatever that, or maybe that one, whatever that nice thing you saw. I don't know. You saw some homeless person give him money. It's just a good thing, a bad thing that had no other witness or whatever that. Or wait, I guess you have that other person, but you get something when no one's looking. All that kind of stuff. Like, are you trying to be good? Are you trying to get away with stuff?
Or are you doing so other people see you and go, "Oh, that guy's a great guy." Like for the pleasure of people, or are you pleasing God, or are you pleasing people? Kind of deal, right?
Yes, and that's always big, and that's some of the stuff that they were talking about, even going into Lent. Lent just finished. That was like the big one. I think
What'd you give up?
First week, alcohol.
Oh, okay.
I always give up alcohol.
Oh, you do every year?
Every single year. It's the one tricky one.
Is it hard for you to give it up for a week? Or it's a month? Is it a month?
Yeah, it's a month.
Okay.
It's 40 days.
Okay.
So, yeah, it is, but that's why you do it. If it's not hard, then there's no
that's why people give up things. I'm like, why are you giving that up?
Oh, I hear people doing weird stuff. Like,
I'm giving up beets this year.
Like, you never see me eat a beet ever. Exactly.
You give up something you hate, it's like,
come on, man. So that's always a good one for me. And it's just like every year, always like, there's always lessons and stuff. Like I was even telling a friend that is not religious, and I was kind of talking about it. And I was coming at it of an angle of getting older and and substance abuse and stuff, like kind of an angle, and just the better fight. And I was like, every time I do the Lent thing, there's always these little messages I hear and see God telling me, and like
just like in your day to day, you mean?
And it's not like every time. So like this time, for example, was like I went out there and I was hanging out with some friends I really like to drink with too, and that's the fun part. You gotta really put yourself in a challenge, otherwise it's like.
Are they drinking without you while you're there?
And they are. And that's good. And I kind of embrace that. I know, like, there's certain things I saw this time that I could and couldn't deal with. And that's always the thing, and seeing what that threshold is. Like, what I couldn't deal with would be, which was on the plate, was going to McCarthy's for a wake. I did not have that wherewithal. I could not go to McCarthy's and not drink at a wake. I don't have that strength. But I do have that strength to hang out with friends.
So did you just not go at all then?
I didn't go. I already actually had other plans to hang out with those other friends at that exact time. So it was fine. And it was like, the temptation was there. You got to have the temptation, because that's the whole thing with the 40 days.
Sure.
But, back to the lesson. I was like, I saw an old friend of mine. Maybe I won't say his name because it doesn't really matter, but it's a good old friend I know for a long time, and like, he was looking pretty rough, and I feel like it was maybe from a lot of drinking, and it was like, and he just was skinnier, and it just seemed like he didn't have a lot going, and I'm not here to judge. If anything, I'm here because I worry. I'm afraid of sharing that story of like, I'm judging anything. If anything, it's like I'm only just looking out. I've seen friends go down that path. Like he had like a certain skin tone that a friend of mine just died from alcoholism had. Like their skin kind of starts getting all weird and stuff. And he was like really thin too, like the weird thin. Like, and definitely alcoholics get big too. But I think what's even scarier is an alcoholic that's skinny. It's weird. I think that actually scares me more. Like, I didn't think about it. Like, oh,
we almost look like you're on drugs in that case.
Correct. Like, oh, fat Lacey's fed. You know, where the other one is like, are you even? Is it just vodka for breakfast?
Right.
Like, whoa, dude. Like, and that makes me, worried, and you just see that, and that gives me so much more strength to like. I'm not, and it has nothing to do. I'm not better than anyone.
Right.
I am no one in the scheme of things. But
you might be better than some people.
Well, yeah, I try. You know. But, and that's like, just
you're better than Hitler. Come on.
Yes.
Let's get real.
Yes. And it's just like, that's some of those lessons. It's just like, okay, to check myself and just, I don't want to be in a world where like, I can't, like I said, I could stop drinking forever if I just hid in a hole. Right. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to start shaking. It's like, it's more of a social kind of a thing, But also with that, like, I like those challenges, and it's like the priest was saying going into Lent, he was saying it's just like, don't be so strong about telling people about what you gave up. And I try not to. I'm just going to say now because we're talking in discussion. It's fine. But I don't be like, oh, it's not like I'm like a vegetarian telling everyone I know. I'm a vegetarian and my name is also,
right.
Second.
Yeah, where's the news cameras? Let's get this on tape here.
But now we're just rapping here, so that's why it's fun. But be careful. Just like don't do it for just the gram. Right. Gosh, that's I'm such a way of what the priest said, but that's in such words. It's like like give your alms, but don't be like, hey, I gave this much to this, and it's like, just keep it down, man.
Well,
like,
the Bible says that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing.
Yeah, it's like you got to keep that. That's for your relationship with you and God, and you want to know that you're doing it for that reason, it's not for some weird clout thing or what have you. Something that's not going to.
So in that vein, then, like I get what you're saying, I understand, but in that vein, what with the Ash Wednesday. Why do they leave that on the forehead then? Because doesn't that draw attention to that they had that done?
Yes. I don't know. At that point, I think it's a weird, just like, maybe it's just olden times. I think it's somewhere between maybe a power move, maybe just a whole like it's cool, but it's cool to put on your head, but it's also like, I think it gives you that attention, but it isn't so like, it's not like you're just wearing a cool red sweater and then it's like, oh, look at his cool red sweater. He's like so demure. He's so sweet. I love him. Oh, he loves all the little children, gives money and everything, and he's just a perfect person. It's not like a super. I forget the word. It's not glamorous. Right. I think that's kind of the whole thing.
Flashy.
So for someone to just have ashes on your forehead, I think it's just more kind of raw and savage. And yes, sore thumb. Absolutely sore thumb. Yeah. But it's not like a lavish thing. It's not like, oh, I'm so cool. Yeah. Look at this. Or like special pair of pants or like a certain sweater. Like, oh, like a shirt that said I went to church today or something. You know what I mean? Like,
well, maybe it's supposed to remind people maybe that didn't go. Like the I voted sticker.
I think in ways, because the I vote sticker, it ain't that cool. It doesn't that guy's so cool. Yeah. But there is a little bit of that.
I mean, I think that whenever I see someone wearing that, I go, man, if only I had an I voted sticker, I could be cool like that guy over there.
Yeah, I think it's more of like, we know that it's a pretty homely kind of vibe, just to have ashes on your forehead. Right. So it's like, I think it plays into it enough where it's not just a golden cross. Right. It's more like you have ashes on your forehead.
Yeah. Is it just for that day? Like, do you wash it off the next day, or like in the shower?
Yeah. Okay. You would wash it off before you go to bed.
Oh, you would.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you don't want to get that on your pillow or nothing.
Yeah. I think I remember it was maybe once as a kid seeing some on my pillow. But I haven't been to Ash Wednesday in a while.
Oh, you haven't? You don't? That's like the beginning of Lent, right?
Yes. Okay. It is technically not a holy day of obligation.
Oh, okay.
But if you look at a holy day of obligation, technically every Sunday is a holy day of obligation. So I think that's a funny one. Like, how is these 8 days holy days of obligation, but then again, every single Sunday is one? Like, Easter is technically not a holy day of obligation, but December 8th is.
Really? Easter's not?
January 1st is.
Really?
So there's definitely I know everyone has this skewed view of you can go to church for Easter this Sunday. I'm it's not even. I better see December 8th. Yeah. I'm there December 8th, and there's 100 people there. I'm like, where is everybody?
What's December 8th? That's just
it's something, I forget, I think Assumption.
Okay.
It's, Christmas time stuff, so I think it has something to do with Jesus and what have you. But it's just funny what days are and aren't, So it's I think the next one is May 29th.
Okay.
So and then there's a bunch after that, but then there's like nothing between like January until May. And then it's a while, and then they start hitting you around August is one, and December, and then Christmas is one, and New Year's Day is one. That's another one.
Yeah, that's
like
interesting.
it's all random. Like you hungover mofo's, but
yeah,
get
right.
your butt in here.
Maybe that's why.
It's like we know you're hungover.
I bet
you're Catholic.
Yeah, I bet the confessional booth is pretty full on that day.
It's just like we know, come on.
Yeah,
butt in here,
yeah.
You know.
So do you? I mean, are you pretty regular churchgoer, or just a couple times a year? Or are you like every Sunday, or like what do you?
I say like regular. It's not every Sunday. Definitely not every Sunday.
Okay.
I try. I definitely like celebrate it every Sunday. That being said, like if I don't go to church, I'll watch it. I have like this. I think it's like a relevant radio kind of a thing.
It's not the actual service from your church, but it's something similar.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like they have like an app I listen to of theirs. They have a bunch of stuff you can rosary stuff, little stories and whatnot. I catch them on AM radio, AM 890. They usually have. It's fun. They usually have mass weekdays every day at 5:30, and I get out of work at 5:30. It's a half hour.
Oh, there you go.
So I catch like daily masses too. Like most of the time, I catch most of it.
Yeah,
like, in the truck too. It's just all nice and loud. It's like such a cool vibe, you know. It's like.
So, what do you feel like you get out of it? Like, do you feel like it's more? This is probably gonna sound like a weird question. Does it feel like it more like a ritual thing? Like, well, I need to put in that half hour. I need to put in my time. Or is it that every time you do that, you feel like you're receiving something from God specifically during the service?
I would say a little bit of both.
Okay.
You know, I definitely love the ritual of it, but I think there's always something to take from it. There's something in the reading, something in the gospel, something in what the priest says on something. You know, like I think last week even there was a bunch to have. There was like doubting Thomas in the gospel. The second reading was Revelations, and we're talking about the 7 lamps, and I forget the first reading right now.
Yeah.
But and then even like then the priest, his whole thing, he was talking about how like trust is like so important to us and how it's hard to like build up, you know. So that was like last week they were like hitting you hard because they knew you went to church last week. So, you know, they knew they were like, we got to keep them on the ringer because they know they went on Sunday.
Right.
So we got to keep them nice and interested in this one. Like, because throw Revelations, come on, get them, you know. And, I love it.
Yeah. So do you? Okay. So when I first, I became a Christian when I was like 24. So I was pretty late to the game. I was never an atheist. I always believed in God, whatever that meant. He was pretty much the God I made up in my own mind. That was totally fine with my lifestyle. Everything I did he loved everything about me, and I was great. You know, right? It's easy when we make up our own God. He goes right along with us. You know, but it wasn't until I was like 24 where I literally met the real Jesus and developed my relationship with him. But from the early times, I was always taught, because I wasn't Catholic, I was Protestant. And I was always taught about Catholics that they don't read their Bible. They just listen to the priest or whatever in the sermon. They don't really study the Bible. Well, it wasn't until 20-something years later that I started meeting some Catholics that they said, no, I'm deep in study all the time, right? And I started to realize that that first description might be true of some Catholics.
Yeah,
They just go and
absolutely,
they just listen.
absolutely.
But to blanket it and say, nope, Catholics never... No, I'm sorry, this is what I was told early on. The Catholic Church encourages their people not to read the Bible because... And the reason given was because then they'll see that most of the stuff the priest is saying is not in the Bible, right? Almost like it's like this deep, dark group of people who are trying to keep their congregation under the power of the papacy and not letting them find out the truth for themselves. And I believed that for years until I met certain other Catholics who were like, no. And I've got in some deep theological discussions with some Catholics that knew their Bible. And I was like, whoa, okay, cool, you know? So like, do you find yourself that you kind of read scripture on your own? Do you study on your own, or do you just kind of?
Yeah, I do. You know, everyone always says, I wish I did more. Always, yeah, they'll probably say that. But yeah, I do my own reading, and I have my own Bible, and I'll listen to it as well.
Oh, like audio Bible?
Yeah, I like this. Obviously the references and stuff. It just means so much more to me because, like I said, I think it's important to cross-reference and just read it too. It's like it's going to be the most misunderstood book for the end of time forever.
Yeah,
and it's going to be the most consequential book forever of all times. Whether you like it, hate it, completely disagree with it, it's just the most
it is the best-selling book of all time.
Absolutely. Back then they only had one book.
Yeah. Stephen King's got nothing on the Bible.
Seriously. So it's like I think it just behooves any and everyone to read it. Even if you just want to read it and you say it's crap, that's fine on you. That's fine,
But I'm always asking people why, because I have people tell me, well, you can't believe the Bible was just written by a bunch of men thousands of years ago, and how can you trust? And I always get specific and say, well, what in there is not true and why? And they very rarely can tell me, because they're just vomiting out of their mouth because they don't want it to be true. They don't want God to be real. And I think that's because if God's real, they have to be accountable to him. And we don't like that as people. I just want to do whatever I want. Don't tell me that what I'm doing is sinful. I just want to live my life and be happy, and you keep your God over there, and that's fine if that's for you, but you keep that away from me. And I would say, well, but what if it is true? If there really is a God, and he really does have a designed way for you to live, now, whether you believe that or not doesn't make it any less true, right? Like, you can not believe it. It's true, right? We can see this table in front of us. I can believe there is no table here. That doesn't mean there's no table here, right? The truth is there's a table here. So I always try to get at people like that and say, well, is there a truth, right? Truth exists, right? Now, you have every right. I mean, someone has every right to believe that there is no God, or that the Bible's just a book of fairy tales written by men thousands of years ago. Sure, you can believe all that. But I want to know why you believe that, because that's the same crap I used to throw at people before I was a believer. I said the same stuff. And now in hindsight, I know that the reason I said that stuff is because I didn't like what the Bible said. Because you know what it said? It said that sex before marriage was sinful. It said that being a drunkard was sinful. All these things I was involved in, and I felt like judged by that. And I'm like, wait a minute. Who are you to tell me? Well, he's the God of all the universe. That's who it is to tell you, But at the time, I didn't see it that way, So, I mean, I always find it interesting when people just kind of throw that stuff out there.
It's crazy. They covered drunkards in Genesis, too.
Yeah.
Like, right off the fly!
Right.
Like, whoa!
Right.
It's not that long of a chapter.
Yeah.
It's just like the kill rate.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's and of course, people try to twist all around these days to fit different things, and I watch a lot of debates because I love watching. I'm weird. I like watching a lot of debates between different viewpoints and stuff. Even among Christians, like Christians will have two different viewpoints on a certain passage of scripture, and I find that fascinating. It's like, well, we think it means this, and this guy thinks it means this. Well, let's talk about it. Like, what does it really say? So a couple of the things though that are differing from what I understand anyway from Catholicism and Protestantism is and maybe you can shed some light on this, and I know this probably isn't all Catholics, but there seems to be more of an emphasis on Mary, right? And on the Pope, like from what I understand, you guys will pray to Mary, you pray to the saints. Does this sound true?
Yes, and there's different energies of that. It's funny because my mom just said the other day, she's talking with her mom, my grandma, and she was saying how she couldn't find something, and my grandma told her to pray to the saint of the saint of finding stuff. Yeah, there's a saint for everything.
Yes,
there's a saint for bowel movements.
I know,
absolutely. Yeah,
I know. Somebody else showed me that.
Is whoa, dude.
Which I need that one sometimes.
Hey, you never knock on wood. Praise the Lord. There's something for everyone.
Right.
And my grandma told my mom to pray to this saint, to find it, tell them specifically what it was. I think it was a reading glass. It was some kind of whatever. Okay. And she found it, Well,
they're probably on her head.
But that was one of those things my mom said, I never prayed to a saint before. She said that was kind of interesting. But it's I guess...
That was the first time in her whole life?
That's what she said. Yeah.
I know. She grew up Catholic?
Yeah.
Huh.
She's hearing from her mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's her mom. That's her raised her and everything. I was like, It's just one of those things, I guess, one of those So that being said, it's I don't always think about it and praying myself as far as in the context of praying to saints so much or Mary. I think of it more as God, but I could see it in that realm, but personally, I think I pray more to God. Okay. But there is some emphasis on the saints, and there is some of that, too.
But do you see God as higher than all of those?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Oh, absolutely.
So it's like God, and then you got like Mary and the saints below that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the Pope? How do you view the Pope? Do you think that everything he says is definitely true, or do you think he can be fallible sometimes?
Well, I think he can be fallible because he's a human. He's not.
Right.
He is of this world, which puts him in a certain category, like myself.
Right.
Right. But definitely of a world of like. He's probably read a lot of books. You know what I mean? Like definitely, it's good that we have some kind of our go-between Jesus and our normal world. But I'm glad that I don't see us as some like cult or anything. We're just like we gotta stand on our head now, or there's something weird. Like it's all pretty normal. Okay, that seems in line with Jesus. You know what I mean? Most of the things, right. Too crazy.
Yeah. But the critique would be like, why would you need someone as a mediator to Jesus? Why couldn't you just talk to Jesus yourself or pray to him on your own?
That's true. I don't know. I think in ways church is kind of needed, but it's also just like, that's also the problem, It's like sometimes the church can not always be the best thing about religion. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes like it could be problematic.
Right. I got all kinds of issues with church.
So it doesn't always. So I don't know.
But see, I'm able to separate. I'm able to separate the teachings of Christ and the teachings of Scripture from what we call church. Even me going to a Protestant church, I can sit in there on a Sunday, and not everything I hear from the pastor is going to be. I'm going to hear some stuff that I'm like, I don't know if that's biblical. Yeah. Or some of the things we do during the service. I'm like, where's that in the Bible, right? There's always going to be that, But I think to have like a central figure like the Pope, or some people would say Mary would be a mediator between God and man kind of thing. But then there's certain, and that's what I was going to do. Well, let me say this first, then I'll get to what I was going to say. But then there's like... to have like scriptures, there's certain scriptures that say there's only one mediator between God and man, and that's Jesus Christ. So if we're holding that scripture to be true, then if we have someone like the Pope or someone like Mary or any of the saints, that seems like kind of going against that, right? Yeah, no, I would say that definitely seems, could be dicey in that way. But for what it's worth, like, I don't know, and that makes that, and I think maybe you did have that question there, but maybe I'll pose it now. It's like, I've never prayed to the Pope. Okay. That's not to say that other people don't. Maybe I don't know if anybody has. I don't know if that's a good point. I don't know if I've ever heard of anybody praying to the Pope. Yeah. But they view him as kind of like God's spokesman. Like his bit. Human spokesman. Yeah, there is a little bit of that in there, which does get tricky because it's just like let's see. Yeah, like where is his position in that? And I don't know. It's weird because I don't think, in ways it seems unnecessary, but it also kind of seems like we should have someone. And in some ways, it seems like he doesn't have that much power, which is good. You know, like what is I don't know. And and then I see other religions where there is a head, and it's always like things are just weird. Right. All these these Mormon prophet guys. Right. It's like they're like, Jesus spoke to me today. What did he tell you? Yeah. You can marry an 8-year-old. Like, what the heck? No. Hey, as long as she's consenting. Yeah. Wait. What? Hold on. Let me look at this thing again. And hence why we should always keep our Bible close. Yes. Like just keep it close. Like, just keep everyone right and straight. If you hear a preacher or priest saying something that seems out of context, like re-reference that Bible. Maybe re-reference another priest from maybe a different church but same denomination. Right. Maybe even a different denomination if that's what you need. Right. But it's also I have a big faith in God, but still question any and everything. And going back to like punk stuff and question all that are human. So that's kind of the whole thing. It's like if you're human, like I'm with you, man. Question them, Dude, I've said before on this show even that I think there has been no one more punk rock than Jesus. Dude, that guy, he showed up on the scene and he flew in the face of all of the religious leaders of the day, and he's like, nah. That's not true. Mm-hmm. That's what you guys made up. That's your tradition of your fathers and all this stuff. And that's why they killed him.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't stand him because he was going against their religious belief system, and they thought they were following God and they were children of Abraham and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, no, you missed it. You missed the whole, even the Old Testament talked about the coming of Christ. Mm-hmm. But he shows up on the scene and the religious leaders of the day were like, nah, you're not it, man. We got to get rid of this guy. Because if you claim to be God and you're not, that's a pretty big offense.
That's huge.
That's worthy of death, right?
And Caesar's like, you're not even paying the taxes.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, cool, man. So the last thing, and we'll end on this. Boy, dude, we're flying, man. We're almost 4 hours in. Oh, does it feel like it's been 4 hours?
It does not.
Right?
It does not.
See, and that's why I always tell people, a lot of people are hesitant about doing the show because I send them, like I sent you, the time slots, and they see it's a 4-hour slot, and they go, wait a minute, your episodes are 4 hours long? I said, yeah. They said, there's no way I could talk for 4 hours. I said, everybody says that. They show up, and they're like, we could keep talking for 4 more hours. I said, I know. So anyway, the last thing we'll talk about is just like scripture in general. What is your view of that? Do you think that is 100% true, inerrant? Like, is everything in there true? Or do you think it's been messed with, like man's screwed it up? Or, do you think we can trust it, I guess, basically is what I'm saying. 100%.
I think so. I think it's all true. And I think we live in a world, like going back to like, re-referencing it. It's like with people maybe wanting to misconstrue it or weaponize it. Mm-hmm. But that's also why I think whatever is there is true. So you go back to it and you see what that is, and you kind of if you reanalyze or what have you. But sure. I don't think anything in there is fake.
Okay.
Obviously there could be debates on interpretation, but I believe it's all true. It's all, I believe that it is all true.
Okay. So then the verse I always bring up, because it's a big one, is where Jesus says, and I'm sure you're familiar with this, where Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but through me. Mm-hmm. So that verse alone, if we're taking it as truth, means that any religious system, any belief out there that doesn't go through Christ is false, right? Mm-hmm. So that would mean the Hindus, the Buddhists, the atheists, obviously, or the spiritual people that just believe in like a floating sky god or whatever they call it, flying spaghetti monster, right, that kind of thing, or whatever their belief system is. That's a very, and that's kind of to me what sets Christianity apart, is it's the only religious system that says it's the only way, right? I don't know any Buddhists that say, oh, you have to believe Buddhism or you're going to hell, or you have to believe in Hinduism or you're going to hell, or you have to pray to Ganesh or whatever the different gods are. But Jesus very plainly says, look, it's through me or you're doomed, That's controversial. I mean, that's very narrow-minded. Some people, that's what I used to say before I was a believer. I said, well, I don't want your Christianity. That's what a narrow-minded belief system. You're telling me that the little boy who grew up in Ethiopia and only believes in whatever religion they live there, you're telling me he's going to hell simply because he didn't believe in your Jesus, right? That'd be kind of my argument, right? So, what do you think about a verse like that?
I believe it's sort of, it's
a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know. I struggled with that too, especially when I wasn't religious as well.
Right.
And that was kind of a thing that did turn me off to it. But I think it just...
So I guess what I'm wondering is, like, if you had a friend who was a Buddhist or say a Hindu person, and they asked you, hey man, I know you're a strong Catholic and I know you believe the scriptures to be true, but I'm reading this verse right here where Jesus says he's the only way, and I don't have Jesus as a religious person in my belief system. Am I going to hell? If I die in a car accident on my way home right now, am I going to go to hell? What do you say to that guy?
Well, it's good. Okay. And this person is not religious?
Well, they're Hindu.
They're Hindu.
They're not part of a religion that involves Jesus in any way. But yeah, I guess you could say they're religious, but not in the same way you and me.
What I would tell them, I like this is a lot better. Yeah, this is good context. I don't really know, and this person is my friend. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd probably
you care about this person a lot.
It's like, well then, if they're actually my friend, I would be able to say this kind of stuff. I really think, because my level of whatever sense of humor is pretty fun. I would like to think.
Yeah.
But I would just say like, I don't know, something like get right with the Lord, or pick the winning team, or figure out you want to know about it. I don't know, like
get right or get left.
Yeah, get right or get left. Also on the way. I wonder what your God said about me. Also, don't care because I don't believe in him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they can stop that at the door if they want, because it's like he's like, well, they would say that like, so you think I'm gonna go to hell because of this verse? And I'm like, yeah. So all of a sudden you care what Jesus thinks, huh? Right.
Yeah, and they'll try to pull that on you.
That's what I would say to them. Like,
I see what you're saying.
You see what I was like? So you care what Jesus thinks about you. Is that what you just said?
Right.
And they would just be like, and they could say either two things there. They could say, I don't believe in Jesus at all. Right. He didn't exist, or he wasn't a prophet. Like, well, I guess if he wasn't a prophet, then it doesn't matter what that crazy man says,
Shouldn't
right?
concern you. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. He says it's just like the guy on the bus who says you're going to hell. You know, like smells like piss. You don't know.
Right.
You know, like then all of a sudden he has some word, because my adverse to that would be is like, if my friend, whatever religion he is, Islam, doesn't matter. Let's say he's Islam, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm so bad. I'm thinking, whoever's in charge of Islam, like, okay, what does he think about a homie like me who doesn't believe in Islam? I don't know. And in some ways, I'm kind of curious, but in other ways, I already know what I believe so much. Like if we have that conversation, maybe I'd open it up then. Yeah. But as of right now, I'm not being like asking someone from Islam or any religion, like, am I going to hell because I like Jesus and don't believe your thing? Like there's a small interest in it, but because I don't have their belief system in my belief system, it doesn't really matter to me. Right. It's like.
But would you be open? Like, let's say you had a Muslim friend who was concerned about your salvation. Like, let's say in his belief, he fully believes that Catholics are going to go to hell because they don't follow Muhammad or they don't believe in Allah or whatever the case is. Or I don't really know much about that religion to know what they need to do to get there. And he came to you and you said, "Hey, man, I have some evidence and some proof that can show you that Catholicism's wrong." Would you be open to that, or would you be like, "No, get away from me. I know my belief system. Stay away." Or would you
I would look. Okay. Yeah, come on, just show me. Why not? Like, like I wouldn't like. Oh, I can't see the golden tablets because my head's gonna explode. I'm ready. I want to see someone's head explode. Let's do it.
Exploding heads.
And it's like with everything too. It's like if you're living right with the Lord, the way I understand it, at least, and you're living your walk with God and faith and religion. In theory, we should always be ready to die. Right. That's kind of the whole theory.
Because you never know.
Because we're living our right life right now. Not like this, I'm going to be a good person next week. Oh, I'm such a piece of crap. Next week I'm going to go do it. Like, part of it is you're trying to live the best life every single day at that moment, because you're supposed to be ready for Jesus at any given moment. Sure. That's the whole thing. Like, it's been thousands of years, but it could be any second. Right. Like, you better be ready.
Could be right now.
And that's like that whole thing. It's like, well, if I looked at something with, Jesus' intention, like, the right way, my head exploding, I would be in the right place because I would go to heaven, because that's what I believe, because I'm living my right life. And there hasn't been anything written that, like, Jesus never told me, like, if you look at your friend's phone that says something weird about me, you're going to go to hell. I'm like, I'm just looking. You know what I mean? I'm just looking. Right. I'm not, like, in debt to any. I'm just, I'm just looking.
No, and I think that's perfect. I mean, that's the way I view things. Like, I have very strong Christian beliefs. I hold to the scriptures as being 100% true. I believe everything in there. I think that, and I have a lot of reasons for that. I've read books by atheists. I've read books by other religions. I've attempted to debunk Christianity in a sense, because if it's not true, I don't want it. Like, I really don't. I want what's true. So I guess if I had somebody come to me and they're like, "Oh, hey, I think you're going to go to hell if you die tomorrow, because you don't believe in Islam," or whatever the case is, I'd be like, oh man, well, show me, like, what, you know, and if he's able to convince me, then I'm going to become a Muslim. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like, because I want whatever one's true, whether that's the Hindu, Islam, Buddha, or nothing. Maybe there is no God. If there's no God, I want to know that. Because what am I doing? Why am I wasting my life going to church, reading the Bible, doing all this stuff, praying to nobody if he's not there? What a waste of time. I might as well go out and live my life and have fun and, you know, die and turn into worm food. So, I mean, like, you know, so I mean, I think that's it's cool to hear that you're kind of on the same page with that, but it's a lot of religious people are so, you know, just get away from me. Don't talk to me about anything contrary to what I already believe. And I don't want to I'm not going to let you even talk to me about it. I'm like, well, what if they're right? How do you know they're wrong? Well, they must be wrong because I know I'm right. And I'm like, well, do you though? How do you know? Like, do you have good reasons for believing what you believe? Or is it just like, no, it's just kind of what I like. I like this one. I picked this one because I like it. You know, they have coffee and donuts at church every Sunday, so I kind of like that. You know, it's like, okay, well, you know, but yeah, man, cool. That's it, dude.
Oh, yeah, cool.
That was fun stuff.
That was fun.
Yeah, thanks for doing it. I know we've been talking about this for a while. I mean,
Thanks again for giving the show your time. Please send feedback to whycan'twetalkaboutthat at proton.me. Please share this podcast with everyone that you know. Thanks. Until next week.